Submit to the High Council this week here on World Class Bullshitters. I'm your host, Jeff Hicks, and with me tonight is Mecha Random 42.
Hello, hello.
And a guest that I've been dying to get on the channel for a long time, Michael of RetroBlasting.
Hey, guys.
So, folks, this is the first High Council of 2020. We got a lot of stuff planned for this year. It's going to be a big year. We're going to have meetups, all sorts of fun, and but we've been away for a while. So, Mecha, since we haven't met in a while, what have you been up to?
Oh, Star Wars. The Golden Globes was fun. YouTube, just cranking out content, having fun, fighting the algorithm, all the good stuff. It's been fun. It's been great.
Yeah, it has. I've been dealing with some family stuff. So if you're one of my Facebook friends, because I do friend some listeners, you guys know what's up with me. Had a bit of a move, but got the stuff worked out. Now we're back. Videos will resume tomorrow. Channel stuff resumes right now, and we got a ton of stuff. And Michael, since you're new to the High Council audience, real quick, introduce yourself, and then tell everyone what you've been up to since the Christmas holiday is over with.
Sure. Yeah. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Michael French. I've run RetroBlasting since 2012. We normally talk about Gen X nostalgia, toys, cartoons, and everything like that. And what I've been up to in the past year, I actually did a wonderful 3-hour discussion with Jeff Hicks. What was that, 2 years ago now? And I think it was on this channel, and really excited to be back here. But for the last year, I've been working on some big things. I've been working on a big Robotech retrospective that's in 4 parts. We've been ramping up our live streams. I've been working on more Star Wars Follies, which is a series that we've been doing since 2012 about the vintage Star Wars toys. So yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot going on. And like Mecha said, I'm fighting the algorithm and the FTC COPA thing along with everybody else.
I gotta say, your Star Wars Folly segments are probably my absolute favorite. The one where you made Han Solo salute and dance. I lost it.
Oh yeah, the micro collection Han Solo.
Yep.
Yeah, apparently that image of me swing dancing in the, quote swing dancing in the micro collection pose has become a GIF online, and people have actually used it as a reply to me in social media sometimes, and suddenly I see myself doing that stupid dance, and I'm like, oh, that's funny.
So folks, you've heard me talk about RetroBlasting. We had him on 2 years ago. It was, like I've said, privately, publicly, it's my favorite thing I've done on the channel, and we've just been busy. Work schedule, stuff like that. It's been hard to try to, cross the streams, but he's here. We're going to make this happen tonight. We're going to do this again. So make sure you guys are subscribed to RetroBlasting to watch all the stuff that I consider some of the most fun stuff on YouTube. And as always, subscribe to Mecha Random 42, or she'll get her writing crop out and it'll get real ugly.
Sometimes. Well, sometimes I enjoy that, though.
That's true. Hey, if that's your thing, we don't kink shame on this channel, unless kink shaming is your thing. So we'll talk about that at a later time. Now, tonight, folks, this is our first episode post Rise of Skywalker. So if you were one of the people that caught our live review, awesome. If you're not, we're going to talk about that. And tonight, I'd like everyone to let us know their review for the film, because we haven't really been live since it came out. So I haven't had a chance to check in with you guys, because the Rise of Skywalker came out on a Thursday night. Christmas was the following Tuesday. I was off doing stuff with family, and now we're here. So I want to hear people's thoughts and reviews. Now, Michael, since you're our guest tonight, you know what? Actually, hold on, because I'm going to ask you to do something a little more than Mecha. Mecha, you said you've seen it, right?
Yes.
What were your thoughts on a scale of 1 to 10? What would you give it? And then, your thoughts.
Oh, it's got to be about a 4. It's got to be about a 4, and that's only because there were some moments I really liked. I did go back and watch it a second time just to kind of really look for things that I did enjoy about it, because I went in the first time watching it in a mood of, I don't want to watch this. They've been calling us all names for the past 2 years, and I went in kind of resentful. Well, it's a bad movie. It's way too much crap. They just throw a bunch of stuff on screen, have no real story. It's just scene, and then it feels. Oh, feel this. Remember, feel this. You should feel this though. Now we're feeling this. I don't want to feel any of that because it's all just cringe. The Raylo stuff was disgusting. But no, there's moments I liked, you know, like Luke finally using the Force to lift the X-wing out of the water, finally. But it was just a mess. It was bad. It was just not a good movie.
Now, the reason I asked Mecca to go first, Michael, is because you have put out a video about, it's called Star Wars Canon is Overrated, and it talks about your thoughts on the Disney Star Wars trilogy as a whole. So since this is your first time on the High Council, if you give us your brief thoughts, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, quick 1 out of 10, and then, basic thoughts, and then where we are now.
Yeah, Force Awakens is a 1 out of 10. Last Jedi is a 1 out of 10. Rise of Skywalker is a 1 out of 10. No, well, yes and no. I'm not trying to be sarcastic in that sense. As you and I talked a few years ago, Jeff, I didn't like The Force Awakens when it originally came out. In the theater, I was very upset. I thought the story was slipshod, and I felt like all the unanswered questions with more unanswered questions piled on was a very unsafe thing to do. And we talked about that. And sure enough, it came true, because then a rogue director comes in for the 8th chapter and throws the outline out, if they ever had an outline to begin with. They're claiming that now, but I don't think so, because I've never known J.J. Abrams to actually have answers to the questions he sets up. The guy is just addicted to coming up with questions. I cannot imagine what he was like in middle school science class. But Rise of Skywalker, I feel like that movie, first of all, it's way too fast and perfunctory. Remember how when we all came out of Revenge of the Sith, we all talked about, at least the people that weren't terribly thrilled with it, how the endings were just in the final act, the last scenes were just a series of wipes, just wipe. We got to get this out of the way. We got to get this out of the way. We got to get this out of the way. Rise of Skywalker was that at 50 times the speed. Like, it was just, the whole movie was a series of necessary wipes, trying to get certain things staged up, and it felt like chaos. The whole movie just felt like chaos. And like Mecca said, it did feel like they were so desperate to get certain people in certain spots to say certain lines that they were hand-holding you. Feel this here, feel this here, feel this here, just like she said. And it reminded me of the opening level of most video games, where they tutorial you through the controls.
Mm-hmm.
This is a cliff. Now remember, when you see a cliff, hit the Y button to grab and push upward. So from here on out, you will learn to do that. Like, that's how the movie felt. It felt like a movie version of that.
Yes, but you couldn't skip the cutscenes. I think I even put that in my review too. There were scenes like with Han Solo or Luke Skywalker. I'm like, can I skip this part? Can I skip past this part and get to the action scene where I can mash the buttons on the controller?
Yes.
But it never comes.
It never comes. It never happens. Yeah. And also, these are, I have some broader thoughts about, in retrospect, about the trilogy that we can get into when we get into broader discussion. But just as a sort of minor example of what I've been thinking of over the last few weeks, we get to the end of Rise of Skywalker, and that story for another time about how Anakin's / Luke's lightsaber that was lost in Cloud City was found in Maz Kanata's basement, right? And I sit there and I go, okay, never explained. Why didn't they just make that lightsaber in the box the green one? Because if they'd made it the green one, that would have solved all the problems and made it plausible as to how it was found. Like, you would have had Luke with the green lightsaber as his holographic self at the end of Last Jedi, so that wouldn't have been a question, because I don't think Luke would have been visualizing himself with the blue one. It's all, those are just little things that the screenwriters weren't thinking of, as they just kind of ate Cocoa Puffs and ran around in the backyard. Like, it didn't make any sense.
No, and I wanted to jump on your video game point. I'm a gamer, not as much as I used to be, but I felt like this movie, The Rise of Skywalker, was like Legend of Zelda, where it's like you move the block, the sun comes in, it goes do 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 do, and then the next thing happens. Like, everything was a contrivance in this movie. So like the part where, like, oh my god, they're about to get captured by the one stormtrooper. Hey, an arrow got shot into his eye. It's Lando. Oh my god, we need to get away. It's a speeder. Oh my god, we crashed. We fell into this quicksand. We landed exactly where we needed to be. Oh my god, a wounded animal. As soon as he moves, here's the exit to get out of this cave. It's like the whole movie was just non-stop that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting a little more. We're going to get into it tonight, folks. We're going to talk about the JJ cut, the extended cut, allegedly. We're all going to talk about the Reddit leak, the big one that came out. I've been kind of waiting to, collect my thoughts and give them to you guys live, especially I wanted to bounce them off Michael and Mecca. But like, the whole movie was just like, I've been saying this to you, Michael, for 2 years. I've been saying on the channel since it happened. The Disney Star Wars movies, nothing feels like a natural story progression. It's like, how did the droids get here? Well, this ship was captured and they needed to jettison an escape pod, blah, blah, blah. Like, it just, things made sense. In this movie, it's like, how does this happen? Well, just because
says so.
Yeah, so. There's no natural progression to the movies. And it's an I think I have felt anger towards The Force Awakens, anger towards The Last Jedi. I was embarrassed to be in the theater for this movie. I was with all the guys. Everyone came to town. We rented an Airbnb. We did our live stream. It's on the channel. If I wasn't with my friends, I would have sunk low into my chair because I love Star Wars. This is something I've been a fan of most of my life, and I'm like, this is it. This is what they give us. I can't believe I've identified with this for so long because this is an embarrassment. And they have taken the Force, they've taken everything that we held dear with the property, and they've bastardized it. And it's not even some things they bastardize to be malicious. Some things they do for money, and some things they do because they're stupid. And the stupid ones are the ones that bother me because you're Disney, the biggest entertainment company in the world, and you can't get better people on this. I just don't get how these things happen. How did that?
Why on earth is Chris Terrio? Why on earth is he still getting hired to do anything in Hollywood? I mean, after Batman v Superman and Justice League in a row, I mean, what were they going for? The trifecta? I mean, it's just really, he gets another job and it's Star Wars, and they approved that, even though that's the film that they needed to save them from the Last Jedi debacle. Are you kidding me? Are we really shocked that this screenplay turned out the way it did? And I know that there's been a lot of meddling behind the scenes in the background, but just imagine we're going to meddle behind the scenes after we start from a foundation written by Terrio and Abrams. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? I mean, God.
Well, Michael, if you notice the thing, I'm with you. This is the guy that wrote BVS and Justice League. What are we expecting? But the media was like, he wrote Argo. Argo won Oscars. Look, I liked Argo. Argo is also based on a true story, so you do have an interesting framework to begin with.
I've got Argo in my Blu-ray collection, but
same here.
But it's just like with Rian Johnson. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's just like you need to stay in your lane, Rian Johnson. Clearly, you're not good at sci-fi genre filmmaking. You don't like it. Stay out of it. Terrio, you're not good at comic books and sci-fi. You need to go back to doing Argo style projects.
Yeah, these people, they jump into it because it's the big popular thing. And every once in a while you get, I don't really know what Taika Waititi did outside of What We Do in the Shadows and Thor Ragnarok, but it worked. I'm not the biggest fan of that movie, but sometimes you can get these people outside of their genre to make a movie and it works.
Sure.
But not always. You have to have a fundamental love of these things.
Sure.
I'm trying to think of a good example because J.J. Abrams is pop culture fast food. Yes, he's consumed a lot of it, but I don't think he understands anything beneath the superficial layer. It's here he is. He can tell you he knows this shit because he's seen the movies. Yes, there's no denying that he's seen them. He's a fan, but I don't think he's the most qualified person. I think he just gets his name attached and he gets a lot of power, and apparently not enough power in this movie.
J.J. Abrams is that friend of yours. We all have them that always wants to do their Arnold Schwarzenegger impression from Predator, and they're not good at it. And you're like, and then they do it, and you're like, and they're really bad at it. And that's what he is he's a poor cinematic mimic. He only he thinks in images. So when it's Star Trek, for example, he's like, well, I don't know much about Star Trek by his own admission. And he's like, but I know it's about.
He didn't even like it. He didn't even like it.
Didn't even like it. Yeah. So he's like,
don't let him touch it if he doesn't even like the thing. He's going to come in and change it to something it's not. And that was the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And he even said in that interview where he admitted that, he was like, I wasn't as smart as my other friends. I guess I just wasn't smart enough to appreciate it. And it's like, no, you weren't. But he looks at it in images and he says, ooh, Star Trek is about the guy with the pointy ears and the captain who always sleeps with the green chick. And they go to warp speed. So I got to have, as long as I have all those things, then I've made Star Trek. And it's like, no, you've missed the whole boat on this, pal.
Well, that's like saying a Big Mac is like the styrofoam container and a bun and sauce, not being specific with any of it, but you have the few basic components. And you're exactly right. He doesn't understand what he's doing.
No.
He comes in my opinion, he seems like he's the guy who comes in and does exactly what the studio says so he can get hired all the time. He's not going to give him any lip. He's not going to say no. He's going to say, yes, boss. And then we end up with crap every time.
Yeah. And he seems to have bought into his own hype a little bit at this point in his career, where I'm the franchise rebooter. And it's like, no, pal, you're not. Because, Jeff and I've talked about this. Mecca, I'm sure you've talked about this with people. Why did he have to have TIE fighters, stormtroopers, and X-Wings 30 years in the future with this movie? Because to him, TIE fighters, stormtroopers, X-Wings, and Harrison Ford as a smuggler is all he can think about. It's like, that's what Star Wars is to him in his head. It's not the actual subtext. It's not the mythology itself. It's these window dressing accessories. And as long as he has those, I mean, it's mind-boggling how surface he actually plays. And so then you get these vapid films.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been a fan of his, but when he did it to Star Wars, I finally got everyone's complaints. Like, I don't think his Star Trek movies are the best.
Right.
I would say Wrath of Khan and whatever one where they go to San Francisco in the 80s. Those are my two favorites.
Star Trek 4.
Yeah, Star Trek 4. Yeah.
I love that movie so much. But anyway, that's a topic for another time. My point is, I saw his movies. I was just like, okay. And then he did it to Star Wars. And then I don't even like his Mission Impossible film. That might be my least favorite Mission Impossible film. Cloverfield, I don't think he even directed. I think he produced, right?
Yes, I think that's correct.
And I don't know what kind of person he is. He may be a great dude who we don't like his movies. So that's fine. It's neither here nor there. But like, I just don't like seeing his name, because when I see directed by or produced by or J.J. Abrams presents, it's the opposite of the feeling I get when Spielberg did it. Because as a kid, it was like Spielberg presents, Animaniacs or Tiny Toon Adventures or all these things, Pinky in the Brain. Like, his name attached to anything when I was a kid, it was like, wow, that's going to be a good cartoon because it's the Warner Brothers cartoons or this or that. His name meant something. J.J. Abrams nowadays is just like, oh, J.J. Abrams is on. I think I can skip it because it's going to be a bunch of nonsense that never gets answered.
Well, remember back in Force Awakens where they used to refer to him in the media as visionary director J.J. Abrams?
He made them believe that, I think.
But I don't think I've seen that this time around. I don't think I've seen anybody refer to him as visionary director J.J. Abrams. I think the Emperor finally has no clothes at this point. That's just my feeling on it.
No, they can't justify it. I mean, when John Campea walked out of Rise of Skywalker and said he didn't like the movie, that was when I think we all kind of got the indication and got the hint that, oh, they can't even defend this. This is so bad that nobody can even defend this one. Because at least on The Last Jedi, at least I can even give it credit for, okay, well, it looked pretty. It looked like Star Wars here and there. This one doesn't. This looks like this new modern grainy shaky cam lens flare to the max, and it doesn't even feel like a Star Wars movie. It doesn't remind me of Star Wars. It's got some Star Wars characters in it, but it really doesn't.
So on a level of shaky cam, how did you feel about it? Because I felt the shaky cam was almost at Bourne supremacy levels.
The shaky cam was better for me than the flashing. I had a real hard time with the flashing the first time I watched it. Second time, not so much, because I kind of knew it's not going to last forever.
Right.
But no, the shaky cam. I think I just tune out anymore. I look away from the screen a lot of the time when I see that. And I have some vision problems anyway, where if I see a lot of really similar shades of a color, if nothing really pops on screen, I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to see any color. I'm going to see it as black and white, or I'm just not going to see what they want me to look at anyway. So I mean, it was bad. Don't get me wrong, but I think I just looked away from most of it.
Right. What I hate from this is a modern filmmaking thing that I don't like, and definitely don't like it in Star Wars, with like the crash zooms.
Yeah.
It looks cool in some stuff. Like there's a couple of them in the Avengers movies that I like, but something about like a crash zoom on the X-Wings as they like spin out and blow up and stuff. It's just, I don't know, man. Mike, we had this discussion last time. We said like the music doesn't feel like Star Wars. The aesthetic, it's supposed to look like Star Wars, but it looks like a cheap ripoff. But that feeling I mean, I'm getting it from The Mandalorian. I got it from Rogue One, like the look that I don't know, that Star Wars world that we're supposed to see. And people might argue, well, Jeff, it's because this is based during the original trilogy. I'm like, motherfucker, I know when these are based. I read more shit than you guys do. My point is, though, there's something that even Lucas with the prequel era, it has like that Star Wars touch. When you bring in a new cook, and people say, well, Irvin Kershner and Richard Marquand. Well, I don't know if they've heard about this, Michael. You probably have. Maybe you too, Mecca. How it's rumored that Richard Marquand was just kind of there on set, and Lucas did a lot of the ghost directing, kind of like with Poltergeist. Really, Spielberg directed. So even then, Lucas did more than we think. But these new ones just don't have that that intangible, is what I'm trying to say. Like, it doesn't look like Star Wars, it doesn't feel like Star Wars. And Michael, I don't know if you've ever heard the rumor how allegedly Lucas gets a 25% cut, so they change it or something like that.
Yeah,
I had the thought, and Mecca, tell me what you think too. The sound effects are so different. Like, obviously, Chewbacca's roar has to be the same. The lightsabers are the same, but all the blaster shots, different. And there's like so many other in-world things that Lucas carried over from the original into the prequels. Retrofitted them a little bit, but they still felt like that. Like, that is kind of gone with these movies to a point where they feel like generic sci-fi, and I can't get on board with a lot of the stuff. Like,
well, Jeff, when you're carrying Nerf guns into battle now, I mean, they're gonna sound different. I mean, because those foam darts. Yeah.
Remember, they do fly now too. So
that joke,
they fly.
The Reddit leak, the reason I believe a good chunk of that Reddit leak was because of they said that was made to sell a toy. There are only a handful of toys for the Rise of Skywalker, and that damn rocket trooper is one of them.
Oh yeah, designed to be a toy, just like BB-8 originally was designed to be a toy. I mean, that vacuum cleaner droid that's now in this one that comes with the Rey Black Series figure, whatever, DDO or whatever it's called.
Yeah, no thank you.
He's designed to be a toy because they already had that toy from Sphero or whatever it was. And so they said, make that a droid. It's all very corporate cookie cutter at this point. And Rise of Skywalker is now the poster child for how that is dysfunctional, because as more cooks got in the kitchen panicking and allegedly wrestling a lot of the movie away from Abrams before the final theatrical release, you can see that what was already a hot mess just became a spilled cauldron. I mean, it's all over the place now, and that's what people are responding to. I don't even know if an Abrams cut would really be any better, quite honestly.
No, I got a video I'm going to put out tomorrow for it, but let's start talking about the Abrams cut. So we've all heard the rumor that there's an extended
192 minutes version.
Yeah. Oh my god, that hurts. Just I couldn't sit through an extra 10 minutes of that damn film, but 192-minute cut of it's not going to help. BVS wasn't better from the extended cut.
Are you saying, Jeff, that you don't want to see a Lawrence of Arabia length Rise of Skywalker? What's wrong with you? Really?
Everything, apparently. Michael, it's time for me to believe all the things people say about me on the internet because I don't like Disney Star Wars. Yes, everything they've said, I am. Okay? Because I don't like this damn movie and I don't want more of it. So I take the blame.
I don't want any more either. People want, what I've heard is that they're using us to kind of market a demand for the JJ cut. And I don't think it's going to help anything. It's going to be more of the same crap, only longer. It's like, seriously, the only version of the film that we won't get is the one that confirms that Matt Smith was in there. So that's the only one I'm interested in seeing. And I don't want to go and have to spend money just for like a special Blu-ray to go and see it again in the theater. And then to get even more extra footage on Disney Plus, because that was the other rumor that they're going to have a specific cut just for Disney Plus where you get exclusive scenes only there. Like,
McClunky. No. I cannot see Disney going there. And even though I would love to see Disney like check its hubris and say, okay, we'll give you guys another choice to watch this movie. I've never seen Disney in their legacy cop out, and give us a director's cut of anything. And I would love to see director's cuts of like Rogue One or something like that. But I've never seen them do that for their successful films. And so that's why
they did Endgame though a little bit. They did add extra scenes for Endgame just to get it over that $1 billion or $2 billion.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. You're right. So they put that out in theaters. I forgot about that. Okay. Which
Mhm.
version actually came to disc? Is it are the added scenes on the disc version?
I'm not sure.
I like that movie, but I've never been able to bring myself to watch the whole thing again.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, same.
I haven't watched
Same.
it again.
Same.
it was but yeah, I think it is a money grab because if we look at where the Rise of Skywalker currently sits within that 3-week window, it's lower than every film except Solo.
Uh-huh.
I'm talking Rogue One at this point in time had made more money, and people go, "Oh, guys, $900 million, almost $1 billion is a huge success." Folks, we're at the point where this movie has made less worldwide than The Force Awakens made in America alone in 2015. And people want to say, "Oh, it's the economy, it's this, it's that." People
It's a bad
just
movie.
stopped going to see the movie. That's what happened. They didn't go back because they didn't like it. Okay, the hype was there 5 years ago. It's
Right.
not here anymore, and it's because Disney turned off the fan base. It's like they have 1,000,001 excuses, but I'm like, where did the people go? Thanos doesn't exist. He didn't snap him out of existence.
No, the box office continuing to decline on this trilogy says that they have continued to turn fans away, and nobody can argue that who's in their right mind. More and more fans with each successive film have left. And they're not coming back. Some of them might be watching The Mandalorian. Others, like myself, are like, I'm not giving Disney Plus any money. You know, I'll if it comes out on disc, I'll watch it because I respect Favreau and Filoni, but I'm not going to pay for Disney Plus to see it. You know, so there's a lot of fans. You're right, Jeff, that are turned off overall.
Now, I do watch The Mandalorian because I have Verizon, so I get a free Disney Plus subscription for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And as somebody who, you watch my stuff, so you know how my opinion on stuff, how it lines up with you, I would say definitely watch it when you get a chance, find whatever ethical way you want to do it. But like, just for the fans out there, because this is an early review for me, I thought the ending was kind of shitty. So like after all this hype and build, and I'm like, hey man, Disney Star Wars is back on track or a track or something. I don't know how to regard if it never got on track. But my point is the ending was really dumb. Like the last episode it starts out poorly and it ends poorly, and I'm just kind of turned off to The Mandalorian for a little bit. So.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I'm only watching it for one character.
We know.
Yeah. That's all I'm watching it for.
Which character?
The cute one, of course. The one everybody's. If you haven't seen it, there's a cute one. So I don't want to spoil.
Do they call that the client or the child? What do they call that?
The child.
The child. Right. Yeah.
We call him Baby Yoda around these parts.
Baby Yoda. Oh, he's so cute. He's the only one I'm watching for.
Now, Michael, as a big collector, would there be a space in your collection for Baby Yoda?
To be honest, Melinda really does not like, and again, Melinda's not saying she doesn't like Baby Yoda for Baby Yoda. Melinda, and I kind of agree with her, she doesn't like the obvious corporate pandering that's built into it, where it's like, get something cute in there so people get excited. And she's like, does that mean that she says, I don't trust this story now to stand on its own legs if they're throwing another porg at me. And it's like, because that's what the porgs were supposed to be in the ads, and they brought a lot of people in, they sold stuffed animals, but they, and so I'm sitting back going, well, if Baby Yoda, takes on something of agency between season 1 and 2, which my friend Tim and Aaron, who do the live streams with me and do our podcast, they have said they watch it, and they've said that Baby Yoda is an important thing in the show, then I'm willing to, give them the benefit of the doubt, is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, he's more than just to be cute. I mean,
Right.
there's a reason why the Mandalorian connects with him. There's a reason why, their stories kind of, their paths cross and that they kind of stay together. But, I get it completely. But here's my kind of view on the porgs and Baby Yoda. That is what Star Wars needs to do for me to really win me over. Give me things to buy, give me things to get excited about, give me stories to get excited for. And yeah, I want to buy stuff. I want to collect the stuff. I collect toys. I collect crap. I want to buy the fun, cute, adorable things. And I'm very, very upset that we didn't get a Baby Yoda for Christmas, that I'm having to wait months and months and months now to get one.
Well, but that might be a good sign because historically speaking, as you know from the original film, they didn't have the toys ready in 77. So they had to bring them out in early 78 because
Mhm.
they didn't anticipate. And so since Mandalorian's success wasn't fully anticipated, maybe that means that it will be the first thing that will have the same legs as Star Wars 77 did in its own capacity. So
Well, they keep
That's
giving us
exactly what I thought.
excuses, though. They keep giving us the excuse of, oh no, they didn't want that. They didn't want spoilers, so they didn't develop any merch. They didn't have the merch ready because they didn't want the toy companies to give us spoilers. Yeah, they could have, though. We wouldn't have known if it was for Rise of Skywalker or Mandalorian. They could have been vague enough to just say, oh yeah, and here's this little thing, and we would have thought, oh, is this in the show? Is this in the movie? Is this another Therm Scissor Punch? What is this? It would not have been a big deal. They just dropped the ball on this one.
right.
You know, I have very good reason to believe that they didn't even start designing them until after a couple of episodes of Mandalorian aired and they realized, oh crap, you know, this is going to be popular.
Yeah, and that has precedent as well because in 1980, Lucas said to Kenner, please don't release the Yoda action figure until like late 80, early 81, because we don't want to give away the look of the Jedi Master. We don't want to give Yoda away to the audience before they see the film. So seems like the Yoda merch or Yoda related merch always gets held back because it's always a reveal. So
Oh shit! Sorry, I lost my train of thought. No, Becca, to bounce off your point though, yeah, all the images they've been shown of Yoda are like computer generated renderings from Hasbro, and it's really awkward. It's like you can pre-order the Baby Yoda figure. It's like, can I see what the actual figure looks like? Because you know, when they try to sell me wrestling figures based on their 3D renderings, they look fantastic, and then you see them in person, and the paint jobs are shit because American toy companies don't have the best paint jobs right now.
Yeah, and that's another concern is perhaps they didn't want to, like, maybe Hasbro didn't want to risk it. Maybe they're like, no, you made us make all of these Rostico figures, and well, we all know what happens to the Rostico figures.
I would put money on the fact that Rose Tico has a minute of screen time because of how poorly received all of her merchandise.
Oh yeah. But no, we're the ist who didn't like her. It's like, I'm sorry, all these people who love her, they could go buy all of her action figures. They're still sitting there on the shelf right now.
Michael, in your tenure as a Star Wars fan / collector, what will go down as the most poorly received Star Wars figure?
Oh gosh, there's a Luke Skywalker that has he's a modern Luke from Jedi, one of the many Hasbro Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalkers they've done, and he's from the final scene where he's smashing Darth Vader's lightsaber into the railing.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and he looks like he has Watership Down buck teeth. Like he looks like a rabbit, and he's like, you know, he's got these like huge front teeth. You know, he looks like he should. What's up, Doc? Like he looks like he should be eating a carrot. He's pretty terrible. I'm trying to think what the worst figure would be, because he's way up there for me. Because it's just like, wow, they actually rubber stamped that sculpt and said, okay, this is good enough. Well, I was in Barnes and Noble the other day. And, you know, Barnes & Noble, since Toys R Us went under, has really expanded its toy section. And I happened upon a Rise of Skywalker Poe Dameron X-Wing fighter. And the X-Wing fighters from Force Awakens, which is the mold this is based on, have hollow rubber nose cones. Like they're squishy, like a clown nose. Because I don't know why they just cheaped out, and that thing's going to dry rot in a few years, and then you don't have a nose cone. But it's the same mold, so it's about the size of the vintage. It's not the big X-Wing, like the big ones. And they just sold a really big one as Luke's Red 5 from New Hope. They just sold a really big X-Wing for $100. Yep, that's it. That thing's hideous. Well, now they've got this Poe Dameron X-Wing from Rise of Skywalker, the orange one. It is as small as the vintage one, and they also want $100 for that. And I'm going, now wait a second. How can you sell a giant X-Wing for $100 a month ago and now sell a tiny X-Wing for $100? So just from the practical side of me, I'm going to call that X-Wing the worst thing that they've ever made, because it's just bilking the fans. It's just like, how can you justify this cost?
I I followed that one because the Red 5 X-Wing, like I'm not really allowing myself to buy Star Wars stuff just based on principle. But the Red 5 X-Wing Luke looked cool. It had a great box. I loved how they reenacted the scene. Well, they slightly altered it because, you know, R2-D2 wasn't blown up. But, you know, the scene at the end of A New Hope after he lands after destroying the Death Star, I was like, cool, they get it. This is for the old school fans, that audience that they really don't want to alienate because we do keep the shit alive in non-movie years. Yeah. And all this other stuff. But I did see the Poe Dameron on a lot of websites. I thought to myself, never in a million years would I buy this. Yep. Because I look at modern Star Wars stuff and it's just like, oh, like the Rose Tico. Like you've seen our videos on Rose Tico. Like, have you ever seen like a stack of Rose Tico in person?
Yeah, I have. I still see them. I still see them.
Yeah, they're still on the shelves.
That came out in September of 2017. It's 2020. Yeah.
And if you dig to the bottom or the back of every one of those, there will be a Constable Zuvio every single time. Every time. I'm not kidding.
What are they going to do? I mean, we do know what they're going to do. I put a video up where they destroy mostly Disney merchandise. Yeah. Where they just turn it into garbage and basically resell the plastic shreds for whatever else you want to do. Recycle it, burn it, melt it, do something with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is that, you know, some people have been telling me over the last few years since Last Jedi came out, they said, oh, well, you know, that means that, you know, the Rose Tico figure is going to become like the Chase figure because she was a peg warmer when she was around. And I said, guys, that doesn't even track. I said, because Lobot was a peg warmer when we were kids. And even though all vintage Star Wars is worth something now, mint on card Lobot is still one of the more affordable figures to buy if you're just getting into Star Wars collecting. Like there is no indication that a peg warmer now becomes a yak face later. That does not track at all, especially in the numbers of unsold that we saw characters like Zuvio and Rose Tico. There's no way. There's no way.
And all the listeners sent me Rose Tico figures to the P.O. box. I think I have 50 Rose Tico.
So really?
If by chance they're ever worth money down the road, I have cases of them, both 6-inch and 3 3/4-inch scale. So I got more than Ethan, I think.
Wow, really? More than EVS?
I think more than EVS. I was over his house over Thanksgiving break, and I think my cases, because of people like our friend Obi-Wan, who would just send me cases of them because Dorkside Toys was trying to clearance them out for $1 a piece.
Right, right. Yeah.
I've never seen an online retailer. Those places will hold on to a figure forever to try to get full price.
Not
the case with not even the case with most modern Disney Star Wars figures. I've seen Rey get clearanced out quickly. I've seen all of it go by the way, especially from Big Bad Toy Store.
Yeah.
Kids don't like Star Wars anymore. I mean, they're all rated PG-13, so they're not even for kids. The people who do show up and are really, really passionate about the Disney Star Wars trilogies are the Reylos. So they're not buying the action figures. They're just drawing fanfic over on Tumblr and upset that they're not making out or are making out or whatever they're upset with over there this week, you know?
Michael, you've dealt with some crazy fans online. What are your thoughts on the Reylo community?
Well, I heard all the news that the development toward the end of Rise of Skywalker with Rey kissing Kylo was to acquiesce to that community. First of all, and I'm just going to be as blunt as I can be here. I don't understand why they would want that, because from where I'm standing, if you want your character of Rey to be a strong, realistic and credible female character and a hero, I don't understand why you're having her fall in love with a mass murderer who committed patricide. I don't understand that, and I'm not making a joke. I literally don't understand how Disney could ship that. I don't get it.
He's abusive too. He reaches force, pulls a necklace, rips it off of her neck. I'm sorry, that is abusive. You know, if there's girls out there, don't let a guy treat you like that. That's not okay.
Yeah, it's not okay, and I don't understand from where I'm sitting. I'm kind of like, why would they even entertain that? Because in the grand scheme of things, shipping, as we all know, is trying to pair together characters that otherwise, outside of fan headcanon, never would come together. like
Mhm.
April O'Neil and Donatello getting together or something. Like it wouldn't, it would never happen in a bazillion years, and yet they do this, and then the producers, they're like, oh well, maybe we should entertain that a little bit because a segment of the fan population wants that to happen, and it's like, nah, that doesn't even make sense on your character level. That's not credible. And so then what happens is you hobble your own script. So it's a shame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so weird that that's the discussion around Star Wars. Sorry, guys, I had to do it.
It just brings it all home. But
it's nice that it's John Boyega that's making fun of it.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, and that's another. Can we talk about John Boyega in a second?
Talk about anything you'd like. Go ahead.
Okay. John Boyega, I feel, has been robbed in this whole process, because if we go back to TFA, all right, Jeff, you and I talked about this. First of all, typical J.J. Abrams, the marketing was very misleading, and it showed us this character who we found out his name was going to be Finn. He was the one holding the lightsaber on the posters, in the movie clips, in the trailer, and it was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. An escaped stormtrooper who defects from the Empire, didn't know it was called the First Order then. He apparently is force sensitive. Maybe that's what compelled him to defect. And now he's going to become the new Jedi character. Wow, we've never seen a defected stormtrooper before, or defecting stormtrooper with a crisis of conscience. That's interesting. We have to have a new Jedi character in the story. Maybe he'll train under Luke Skywalker. That'd be pretty interesting. No. He's a janitor and he's a coward. And he's not going to do anything important in any of these movies. What?
Because it's a Disney princess. It's all about the Disney princess, They love to yell and scream how Eastern phobic we are, but I'm sorry. Maybe treat your characters of color a little bit better. Maybe treat your ethnic minority characters a little bit better than. I always go to this one with like Rose Tico too. It's like, okay, you've got the only Asian woman in the galaxy crashing. What was it even? I don't remember. Was it an X-wing that she had?
Or Speeder or something like that?
I don't remember.
Speeder.
Oh God. It's like, seriously, and they want to call us all of these names. I'm like, I didn't make these movies. I didn't make, this stormtrooper a janitor, for crying out loud. We are so on board with this stuff. And then it's the studios that rip the rug out from under us.
Right.
Like, let us enjoy these characters. Give us a good character to go on a journey with, and they don't. They're all every character that they give us are all these blank self-insert girl characters like Twilight, and that's what they've turned it into, is just Twilight.
Yeah, and also, there was this whole hint in Force Awakens that Rey and Finn's relationship was going to develop over the course of 3 films, and yet they keep putting distance between Finn and Rey throughout these movies, to the point that they keep recasting his love interest in every film, and you're going, okay. Who's making calling the shots here? Because you're literally breaking all the character arcs. There's nothing to hold on to in these movies. You can't even, Rise of Skywalker, Finn says, "There's something I got to tell you, Rey." Do we know what that is? No, we don't, nope. Because it never came up again. And you're going, wow, like they just let this stuff go by. I mean, the sloppiness of the writing is truly shocking, and it seems to run counter to their aims that they claim in articles, in interviews.
Yeah.
Well, we really want to do this, and it's like, then why? It's like we really wanted to paint the sky blue, and it's like, well, then why did you use red crayons? I don't understand how you got there from here in your own head.
Look, we live in a world where Disney is the biggest thing. They have no excuse for what they wanted to do and what they couldn't put on screen. Technology is not a limiting factor. Storytelling is not a limiting factor. No excuses. I don't give them any breaks on that. So
yeah.
No,
yeah.
This should have been. They had enough money and talent behind the cameras to do anything, and this is what we got.
Right. Isn't that shocking how it's like, this is the A-list, Like these are the starting lineups in Hollywood, really? Because I got to be honest with you guys, I'm not impressed. You know, can we get the people that are doing independent films to come in and maybe do this instead? Because you're batting zero here. Like this is strikeout after strikeout.
Yeah, dude, you got to get somebody that's hungry.
Yeah, you really do. You really do. Because George Lucas was hungry. George Lucas was one of the hungriest men in Hollywood, and he couldn't get anything moving until Alan Ladd Jr. came along. But yeah, I keep wondering to myself, what is Disney's next move? Because now they're like, well, it's Star Wars fatigue, and it's like, you really going to say that when you've got Marvel in your back pocket? Are you kidding me? Like, you make 3 Marvel movies a year or something.
Star Wars fatigue. 2 words: baby freaking Yoda.
Right.
There's no Star Wars fatigue.
Right.
Bad Star Wars fatigue.
Exactly. The only Star Wars fatigue I've ever seen is on my Bespin Luke Skywalker, and it's a whole outfit. That's the only fatigue I've ever seen in Star Wars.
That was the best nerd joke I've ever heard.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
To answer your question, though, I think we're gonna. They keep telling us, 2022. I think we're gonna take a little longer of a break from Star Wars movies. Big theatrical look at the future is streaming, like Ricky Gervais said in his little speech at the beginning of Netflix. Look at Disney.
I don't care.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Oh, it was awesome.
He's a treasure.
Oh man,
I laughed. I read the transcript yesterday, and then I watched it today. So, folks, Thursday night on the podcast, we're gonna be talking about Ricky Gervais and all kinds of shit. So, if you really want to hear that Thursday night, World Quest Bullshitters, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the channel. The thing though is, we'll get the Obi-Wan show. The Mandalorian was a success. We'll get Obi-Wan. I don't know what we'll do after that. I know there's a rumor that it's going to be 400 years in the future or the past. Maybe the past, Knights of the Old Republic stuff. Cool, but Disney only sold us everything they've done on remember this. So if we're going 400 years into the past, they can't say, oh, let's tie this to Luke Skywalker, or this is an early Skywalker. It's like, no, it's not an early Skywalker. We know where the family lineage begins, where Anakin was essentially created through the Force by Palpatine, blah, 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 blah. So it's like, there's nowhere else you can go. You can't tell stories of Luke's great-great-great-great-granddad, or the story of Han. You could tell Han Solo. Well, no, you couldn't really.
No, you can't, because he's nobody.
He's a nobody. Leia and Luke are tied, so you can't make the strong Leia story, because what? Like, okay, Michael, as a longtime Star Wars fan, did you find what they did with Carrie Fisher's CGI legacy a little in poor taste?
Yeah, I did, because especially after Last Jedi and her passing, Kathleen Kennedy came out and said, we are not going to do what we did with Tarkin, with her. We're not going to do that. We're going to respect her legacy and all this kind of stuff and her memory and everything like that. And then they're like, well, no, we are going to get some stuff out of the trim bins. We're going to get that. We're going to put that in there and make that kind of work. And I'm going, guys, this is the most bass-ackwards thing I've ever seen. Like, this is the same mistake you guys made when she died while you were in post on Last Jedi. You guys had opportunity in the footage in Last Jedi to have her die in space, as maybe unsatisfying as that would have been, and then keep Mark Hamill alive for the last movie. But Rian Johnson, gave his colleagues the middle finger, was like, I'm going to go do what I want. And then we get the trim bin Carrie Fisher stuff, and I swear the vote is still out on whether or not he had to have digitally altered her body to put her in a new costume, right? I would think that he did, because yeah. So she's already digitally manipulated. I mean, I felt like those scenes were kind of awkward. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying they were. I was bouncing off of you. Yeah.
There was an Xbox game way back in the day that was based on the Steve McQueen movie, The Great Escape. And it was like hyped as, we've got permission from the McQueen estate. We're going to have his face and his voice in it. And I was like, ooh, because I'm a big Great Escape fan. I was like, ooh, yeah, that sounds cool. So I go and I buy the game. Sure enough, you play Hiltz, Steve McQueen's character from Great Escape. Yes, his face was on the character. His voice, I'm waiting for it. Characters show up in a cutscene. What voice of Steve McQueen do we get? Yeah. Nah. Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. They didn't
my
have
God.
anything else. And so I was thinking that the whole time when I'm watching the Carrie Fisher stuff, because it's like, you know, and I'm not the only person to say this, so I'm not in a bubble here, but it felt like they gave all of the necessary lines to people like Ray or whoever was talking to her. And then Carrie Fisher's lines were just responses to affirm what should have been lines in any typical script that actor would have been saying. So like, you know, Ray's sitting here, you know, it would be like if in the very first frame of The Legend of Zelda, you walk into that cave and the old man's standing there and Link is the one who says, I hear it's dangerous to go alone. Should I take this? And then the guy goes, yeah. And then he takes it. You know, he takes the sword. Like that's what it felt like in the Leia scenes. Felt like she was just saying, yes. I mean, I know her lines were a little more substantive, but it felt very forced. Very forced.
When I have been seeing the images up until before the release, I would see Rey's costume, and I firmly believe, even though it's never been publicly stated, that they probably kept her costume as close to the one from The Force Awakens so they could manipulate it.
Yeah,
at ease, because it looks like it's the same with a few adjustments. It's a palette swap essentially.
Right, and imagine making that decision because, you know, we all know how much work usually goes into designing costumes for a script and for a story, especially a genre piece like this. You know, whether it's this or The Matrix or something like that. Costuming.
They didn't design costumes for this. You've got Nathan Drake running around for some reason.
Yes.
You've got Rose Tico in khakis and and just a button-down shirt for some reason, and Rey is wearing the same nasty clothes, probably without washing them for 3 years. I mean,
and Kylo Ren looks like a character out of a Sprocket sketch. Like he's just got this kind of like black jumper on, and I mean it's real shocking to see how I don't know how to describe it, but it's very low rent. Like there's something about it that just says we just want to get this out of the way. We just want this movie done. And can you guys just bring whatever you've got in your closet that might look cool that we can put on?
That kind of goes along with an interview Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams had where they're like, oh no, we're really focused on bringing Leia in. We're focused on making you feel feelings all the time. And we want to find a way, you know, find an end to it all. Just find a way to get it over with is pretty much how she says it. And yeah, I think you're probably onto something there. It really feels like they just wanted it over and done with as quickly as they could with making as much money as they possibly could. And this is why I don't think it's going to be out of the question to see it return to the theaters before it hits Blu-ray.
Right. Oh, it won't. There's no way. If they do a Blu-ray, I'll be stunned. I'll truly be stunned if the Blu-rays include the Abrams cut. And if not, it won't. Yeah. Maybe it'll show up on Disney Plus, but yeah, I can't get it out of my head how because if we're looking back at the 5 movies they've done. I was telling Tim this the other day. He's my live stream guy, and a good friend. Didn't want to pass him off. He's my live stream guy. I told Tim, I said, you know, it's amazing. They should have just started with the standalone films, whatever those were going to be, Rogue One, Solo, and left episode ambitions out until they found their sea legs. Like they really shouldn't have jumped into Star Wars with both feet and said, we're going to do episode 7 through 9. It's like, hey, why don't you guys start with something smaller, like a standalone film or a Mandalorian TV show? Why don't you try that first? See how it goes. Because this is a franchise that's totally unique in the history of cinema, and it takes figuring out. I mean, you remember what we all said after Phantom Menace. It was like, well, Lucas is rusty. He probably needs to, scrape the barnacles off, and episode 2 will be better. And it's like he's the creator of it. So if he can get rusty on his own franchise, imagine people coming in who never worked on it before. I feel like they learned all the wrong lessons in all their fumbles. After Last Jedi was so divisive and ran all the people away from Solo, and Solo's bad press leading up to it didn't help. They were like, we're canceling all the standalones. And it's like, dude, do you realize that Solo got punished for Last Jedi? Like, I'm not saying Solo is a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not Last Jedi. Like they're punishing Solo for Last Jedi because you don't know what a movie's going to be until you plunk down the money to go see it. Well, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. You guys shouldn't be canceling the standalones. You need to be canceling the episodes, which of course they couldn't do because they were already in midstream, which is why we've heard all kinds of rumors. Well, we wanted to split this one up into 2 films. Oh, so it's going to be episodes 9 and 10. They're like that kid pinwheeling his arms that doesn't know how to fight. Like they're just, and someone's holding them at arm's length. Like it's just,
Are you doing that? Because I have a visual of you actually spinning your arms right now.
No. If I did that, I'd just be punching my computer because I don't have the clearance. But yeah, like that's how I visualize this whole pratfall that is the Rise of Skywalker from a production standpoint. And I do feel really bad for the actors. I don't feel as bad for people like Abrams because I feel like The Force Awakens teed up this chaos. Because he did not put that movie on any guidelines whatsoever. There were no parameters. And as much as people want to say, oh, Abrams was in this impossible spot, it's like, yeah, but he put himself there. Like when you do a first story in a series, and in this case, it's a series within a series. It's a trilogy within a series of trilogies. But especially coming off of Return of the Jedi, you have got to lay down some parameters. You've got to say, especially if you're not doing the next one, you've got to say, all right, this is what we've established. This is what we know to be true going into this next one. There are some key questions that are unanswered that we're going to spring off of, but by and large, this is where we are. So we know where we start with the next one. And there was nothing about Return of the Jedi that any truly creative person couldn't have come up with 50 better ideas for how to start episode 7. And J.J. Abrams started it in the most nonsensical, illogical way possible and didn't explain any of it and then piled on more questions and then walked away and was like, done and done. And then it's like, dude, you might have a crazy person coming after you to do episode 8. And what did we get? We got a crazy person. And he made episode 8. And he was like, watch this, hold my beer. And he just went nuts. And he was only able to go nuts because JJ didn't paint any corners in the room. JJ didn't establish the boundaries of this storyline. And that's essential. I don't know. I know I sound like a crazy person right now, but it's
No, you don't though.
You're not wrong.
When we were saying this shit in 2015, people wanted to make you out to be the crazy person, but in the long run, you were the only sane person in the room because everyone was blinded by the nostalgia and the feels, you know?
Right. Yeah.
When I said to you, and you said it back to me, when the music hit, when the Star Wars fanfare hit and it felt hollow, we both knew like instantly knew something was off.
Yeah.
So for the build up to the Rise of Skywalker, we did a drunk commentary for The Force Awakens. And that movie is just so like it's bad. It's not better. Time did not make this film better. There's sometimes you go back and you look at a movie, you go, I wasn't in the right mindset. I should have paid better attention. No, that movie sucked then. It sucks now. It's actually harder to watch than it ever has been before.
Right.
I'm at a point now where like it's exhausting to try to watch that movie because the acting's all over the place. And it's weird too. Like today, I actually watched a video before I started working. It was Oscar Isaac and Pedro Pascal, and it was one of those Wired Ask Anything on Google questions videos. And I watched that, and I left that going, Oscar Isaac seems like a cool dude. I already liked Pedro Pascal. I wish these guys would do more cool stuff, maybe together, who knows, blah, 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 blah. But then I thought back to watching The Force Awakens the other day, and I can't stand Poe Dameron. Poe Dameron should have been either not in the movie, or he should have been a much cooler part, because they try to pass him off as, he's like the new Han Solo, he's this, he's that, he's all these wonderful things. But he's none of those things. Like, none of those characters, I don't know. Like, they're set dressing for Han Solo to say a couple of lines, Chewbacca to make a couple of sounds, and then not Darth Vader kill somebody, and that's it. And then you roll to the next one, and it's difficult and mean-spirited and everything we've been saying for years, and we get to this new one, and it's dumb. And J.J. Abrams, it's his own fault. It's 100% his fault. I have no sympathy for the dude. He's going to go on, make $500 million at fucking Warner Brothers with their new streaming service and create all kinds of new stuff for them. And you know what? from a business standpoint, from his personal gain, cool, good for you, buddy. But you killed Star Wars. Like, would you say he did as much damage as Rian Johnson did?
Oh, Mecca, if you'd like to take that first, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't think JJ gave Rian Johnson that much to do anyway. I mean, yeah, he set up a few things here and there, but they weren't that great anyway. I didn't care about Rey or who her parents were. I didn't care about 90% of what happened. And they killed off Han Solo, and they waited for the entire movie just to show a little glimpse of Luke.
Mm-hmm.
So I think JJ's stuff is so overrated. And I didn't, when I first saw The Force Awakens, I saw it twice in the theater. I liked it enough. It was probably like a high 6-ish, and I'm like, okay, this will set up for the next one. The next one will be really good. It'll give us, more depth and everything. And then it just swatted everything away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really did. Repeat your question, Jeff, because I was listening to Mecca, but repeat your question.
Did J.J. Abrams do more damage to Star Wars than Rian Johnson?
That's right. Yeah, I like I said earlier, I really think he did, because by not people have told me, and this is where I've gotten really just boiled over and frustrated. I was actually telling Mecca on Twitter right before the show that it was what prompted the 2 videos that I had just done. The tactic lately has been from the pro Disney trilogy side of this. The tactic seems to be, well, in order to make these films look great in an argument, what we have to do is convince people that the original trilogy wasn't that great. So start poking holes in that to prove that it was sloppily written too, even though the holes that they poke are not holes at all. It's all a false equivalency, and they're sitting there. So you sit there, and one of their big examples when they do this is, it doesn't matter that Abrams didn't establish where the First Order came from, because they didn't establish where the Empire came from. And I'm like, nobody has to know in the first movie where the corrupt government came from. But once you know that government's been overthrown, and you move on to the next chunk of the saga, and you say, oh, wait, that corrupt government's still around, you can't just do that, because now there's cause and effect in play. Mm-hmm. Yeah, starting here is fine. I don't need to know where the Shire came from, okay? But if you tell me that Saruman destroyed the Shire, all right, I need to know how the Shire got rejuvenated before I go on to the next book in Tolkien's library, all right? And he tells us how.
Yeah,
so
they do the same thing in Star Trek too. They always like to, because I'm very, very critical of Discovery because it fucking sucks. Mm-hmm. And it's, you get the same type of mentality. It's a marketing tactic where they like to throw out this false information out there of, oh, well, The Next Generation was bad in the first 2 seasons. No, it wasn't. Oh, well, people always complained when that came on the air. No, they didn't. And here's where they were quoted out of context. Here's the article it came from. Here's the people saying, yeah, my quote was out of context. And here you go. Here's disproving that. But so it's the same thing. They always say, like, oh, well, everybody was upset about Empire Strikes Back when they left the theater. No, they weren't. They were upset because they had to wait to see the next one.
Right.
They weren't upset that it turned them off of Star Wars. They were upset that they had to wait. So it's all this, it's revisionist history is what they've been doing with all this stuff, just to convince their lesser fans who really, really love this stuff that they are in the right, that no, it's okay. See, you can like the garbage. They're just toxic. Don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. You go ahead and you like your little Reylo romance, consume, buy our products, go buy our UGG boots with Star Wars on the side so you can cosplay as Rey. Go right ahead. This is where you're included in this. They're just toxic. And I get so tired of that.
Yeah. To me, it's mind-boggling that their minds have said, in order to make this palatable for ourselves, what we need to do is convince ourselves that the previous films weren't very good. It's the most backwards thing. Rather than demand that the current films be up to snuff of the same quality, rather than demand better, they simply convince themselves that the stuff that they were so passionate about that led them here wasn't very good at all. And I'm like, wow, Like that is a race to the bottom of mediocrity right there, like I've never seen. And just a quick side note that's related but unrelated, I want to give a shout out to Arthur Trey Chester. He just sent me information about the Poe Dameron X-Wing, and he said it is a new mold that is slightly larger than the Force Awakens version. So thank you for letting me know that. I just saw that the box was really small compared to the big X-Wing. Anyway, back to the trilogy. Sorry.
Dude, you're fine. My mind sticks with toys all the time. So. You get it. Let's take a minute and read some of these super chats. We got a lot of people. Folks, we have 1,871 watching. That is excellent. This is our first High Council of 2020. Definitely not the last. We're going to be introducing all kinds of awesome new guests like I promised. And we have RetroBlasting, Michael from RetroBlasting. This is his first time on. I think, Michael, you're doing a fantastic time. Are you having a good time? I'm
having a great time. I always enjoy talking with you, Jeff, and it's really nice to finally meet Mecca as well. So this is really great.
Oh, absolutely.
Mecca's awesome. It was weird too, because like I kept getting messages. People were like, "Why is there no High Council tonight? Why is there no High Council tonight?" I'm like, "It's Christmas Eve."
Yeah.
Jeff, they love you that much, man. They just want to hear from you.
Look, I love the listeners. I do. But it's Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. No one would watch anyway. Even if we had a show, we'd probably have about 75 people watch.
Right.
Like holidays just aren't times for entertainment. Like if you pay attention to how like TV and movies work, like TV shows, we have a Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and a football game, but they don't put out like new episodes of tons of other shit. They're just like, we'll take a holiday break. So
yeah, they throw on background entertainment. They'll throw on something like, people, you'll throw on the parade in the background while you're making dinner, while you're cooking, while you're hanging out with your family.
Yeah, the High Council's like an engagement show. We got a ticker at the bottom of the screen now. We got all kinds of stuff. So you can listen to it, you can play your video games, but you can also watch it and get involved. And that's what I always suggest that people do is like, the Fandom Menace is this fan movement where everyone can get involved, have their voices heard, speak their minds. So that's what we do on Tuesday nights. And now we're back for 2020. And I'm happy to be back. So let's see. Matt G sent in $1. Thank you very much, Matt G. The Fixer says, hope there's a call-in segment today. Happy New Year. Here's hoping that we don't go to war with Iran, even as they launch missiles at a U.S. base. Party boob! The Fixer, the call-in segment worked incredibly poorly because, so Michael, we had like 6,200 people watch our the Rise of Skywalker live stream. Was a record for us.
Wow.
So I was excited. I was happy. And the thing is, it's not like we had 6,000 people tune in at the beginning and tune out. They stuck with us until we did the entire film synopsis, which was the first 2 hours. So it was really insane. And we offered a call-in segment, and we have a burner app, and it kept crashing because so many people tried to call in.
Oh man, that's a good problem to have. Good problem.
It was funny though too. With the exception of one guy, everybody that called in was like a regular listener that got through. So like Dr. Coffin Nails got through. Somebody like 2 other people got through, and I was like, "Oh, it's you guys! I've met you in person before. It's nice to talk to you." I think Superfan Adam Shawhan made it on the show. It was kind of funny how that worked. So, Fixer, I will come up with a better thing. The burner app just doesn't work, but we'll see if StreamYards introduces something that I can implement because I would like to have a call-in segment. If I have an opportunity to do that, I will make it happen. Grand Inquisitor, thank you very much. He says, well, it's official. The High Council is superior to Collider Jedi Council. May the Fandom Menace reign supreme forever. Palpatine cackling intensifies. All hail the Fandom Menace. Party boob for life. Well, thank you, Grand Inquisitor, for those kind words. Not to sound too egotistical, I've always thought we were better than the Collider Jedi Council because we're not paid for by Disney. But
I would second that as a listener.
I used to try to watch that stuff as I would draw. Like listen to it in the background, and just after the Force Awakens, I was like, "This is all the same talking point across every piece of media. Are they being paid?" And I thought, "No, I'm a little crazy, but I'll speak my piece on my own, podcast." And then, I can't do the corporate bought and paid for stuff. Fan created content is where it's at right now in terms of like opinion based things. Because if you dislike a movie, if you like a movie, at the end of the day, it's your opinion. It's not. we get access if we like it type of thing. So
Right.
that sounds kind of weird, but that's how I always take a lot of that stuff.
Well, that sounded like they're just trying to advertise to you. It was something, I think I was watching a Nerdist video about like the Millennium Falcon for Solo, and I'm like, well, you're just trying to sell me the toy. Where's the information that you promised in the video? This is just a commercial. I didn't click on your video for a toy commercial. I clicked on your video because you said that there are some differences. What is the difference? Nothing. They even responded to me. I think I had enough subscribers at the time to show up on the app. So I'm like, oh shit, they responded. Oops.
It's like Ralphie in A Christmas Story. Ovaltine, a growing commercial.
Well, that's what they are. They just want to sell you the product because it's a lot of hard work being Star Wars fans for access and freebies.
5 years. I've been working my ass off for 5 years.
I work my ass off to buy the stuff, not to shill the stuff. But hey, if they want to send me freebies, I do have a PO box.
Yeah, I gotta probably update my PO box. My old one is closed. So if anyone out there is trying to send me stuff, don't. I'll announce the new one by next Thursday, and we'll be back in business. Apocrypha says the Rise of Skywalker so far has only made $927 million in 3 weeks. Now, everybody listening, almost 2,000 of you, if I can make $927 million in 3 weeks, I'm ecstatic. I'm the happiest man on the planet. That's record breaking sales. But when we compare it to other films in this trilogy, it's the lowest. So like we said earlier, it's just a downward slope. There's no.
Well, remember their own comparison. The Adam Ticket says it pre-sold Endgame. Well, okay, so it should be doing Endgame numbers, right?
Yeah.
But it's not.
Well, Mecca, I was looking up the Last Jedi Blu-ray sales for a video a couple months ago, and the Last Jedi's whole lifetime, up to that date, it had been well over a year. Its Blu-ray sales were paled in comparison to Avengers Endgame's first 3 months. So, I mean, when people say, well, just home media's dead, it's going down. We can look at numbers and see how it goes, but people still buy Marvel shit. So
hey, they're coming out with the whole Skywalker Saga Best Buy exclusive 4K disc set, and I gotta tell you, I'm glad that they're putting that out on physical media, and I'm really excited because it's a 27 disc set, which means if I do my math, 9 of those discs are going to be Star Wars themed drink coasters, and that is awesome.
That's a better deal than the Indiana Jones box set. You only get one coaster. I've been saying that for years. I don't know what I refuse to watch more. That, like the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull or The Force Awakens. Because I got burned hard in 2008. Like, I was 20. I was excited. I was 19. I was out of my first year of college, had a summer job, had a little bit of money in my pocket. I'm like, I'm buying everything with Indiana Jones on it. And I did the exact thing I'd say I'd do. I bought M&M bars, cornflakes boxes, which are still unopened at my house somewhere, Dr. Pepper, everything with Indiana Jones I bought on it. I bought the entire Hasbro toy line. That movie still sucked. Like, it breaks my heart to think about it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that when you think about it, it has that same feeling in your stomach, like when you remember something embarrassing from your past. Like, it really just makes the temperature in the room go up 20 degrees, and then I'm like, I have to scream it out of my head. I'm like, and then I have to, go to the refrigerator and get a soda.
When I was bringing stuff out here, I did bring my Indiana Jones DVD or Blu-rays, and I was like, I should leave this disc here just to, make a point to myself, but I brought it all. Anyway, yes, Apocrypha, yes, The Rise of Skywalker is down comparatively to the other two films. So for everyone out there that wants to say it's still a ton of money, it's a trend that a company would not like, because they didn't buy Star Wars to make a trilogy and close it out and this is it. They want to make these movies forever. Like with Marvel, they want to make those forever. They want every movie to make Endgame money. They know they won't because that's unrealistic. But we're in a weird point, though, with Disney and Marvel, where I don't think anything they can offer could make that kind of money. Like, there's nothing. To me, it's over. I've said it before. Michael, you like Marvel enough. Endgame, and do you think there's a lot left in the tank for Marvel?
The moment they told everybody that the Marvel Universe films going forward would require you to watch the live action series on Disney Plus to stay up to date before you see the next movie, I was out. I was like, no, this is not forced purchases are not what what appeal to me. I don't want to be forced to buy into your monthly service in order to keep up with the stuff that goes on in the theaters. That's not fair play for me. So I'm happy seeing Cap get back with Peggy Carter in the end of Endgame, and I'll call it quits now. I'm done until you change the game. So, sad. I was enjoying MCU, but that's the way it is.
Mecca?
Sorry, I was answering a question in chat. What was the question?
Oh no, I asked Michael if he thinks, is there anywhere for the MCU to go? And he says the minute the TV shows became required viewings, he doesn't think there's, as bright of a future.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way?
I think people will still stick around for a little bit. I think Doctor Strange looks pretty promising, and I mean, I don't know. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun seeing what they're gonna do with this new phase, but I don't know. I'm not really looking forward to even the TV shows because I don't really care what happens on them. So,
I had a discussion with my friend about that the other day, and she's like, "Oh, everyone's still gonna buy into it." And so I'm like, "You're never gonna have the same heights. It's over."
Yeah,
I'm not saying it to be contrarian. I'm not saying it to this Disney crusade people think I'm on. It's like, look, it was awesome while it lasted, but every good ride ends.
Yeah.
Nothing, with the exception of like Lethal Weapon, which ended, like they didn't really make a bad movie. They were all pretty solid across the board. Marvel, with the exception of Captain Marvel, really good, solid across the board. But eventually all these things end. There's no perfectly ongoing franchise forever. Even Bond stopped for a little bit, picked back up, and varying degrees of quality, but that stopped for another day.
Yeah, Jeff, I believe that you and I are on the same page about loving Timothy Dalton. So yeah, that hiatus was real painful for me. But we won't derail the conversation. I just want to say that GoldenEye is a Dalton film. I don't care what anybody says. The other films that he did, Brosnan did, were Brosnan films because they're markedly different. So I'll shut up now.
Hey, GoldenEye's the best one though.
It is, because it was a Dalton film.
Did you hear the news that Hans Zimmer is scoring the new Bond film?
Yeah, at the last minute.
Yeah.
Oh, that's because this one's has so many reshoots. Isn't it out in like 3 months?
Yep.
Yeah, I've already know what the score is because it's Hans Zimmer. Wow. Wow. That's what it's going to be.
And we have all these jokes about Bond not being able to get it up, and
really?
Horribly. Just I don't even want to repeat the jokes that they wanted to insert with this new female agent, but it's going to be terrible.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought they were referring to Daniel Craig's age now. I was like, well, did you see View to a Kill?
Oh no, they're referring to his you can't get up here very quickly, Mr. Bond. Oh, I've never had that problem before. Oh, but you do now. You can't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cheap shots.
Yeah, this is just take shots at Bond, hold my wife's purse. She's not taking his last name, etc., etc. It's not going to be good.
Wow.
I'm gonna see it, but if it sucks, it sucks. If it's great, it's great. I don't know, but I don't know why companies want to derail guaranteed franchises.
Because they're trying to keep up with this Hollywood circle of, this the Me Too stuff, and we have to adjust Bond for a modern era to be more sensitive to women. It's like, well, yes, but he's James Bond, and those women could take care of themselves. They were smart, intelligent, sexy, sassy, very capable, and knew exactly what they were getting into. You don't need to pussify the Bond franchise just to appease today's reeing masses.
I can totally understand them wanting to keep the franchises continuing. All these, Trek, Star Wars, Bond, Doctor Who. I can totally see them wanting to keep them going because they're money makers. I get that part. What I don't get in this whole process is why they either acquire these franchises or they get new showrunners to come into these franchises and say, we're gonna spice it up, we're gonna rejuvenate it, we're gonna make it high in the ratings again by making people want to watch it. And what they say to themselves in every single board meeting, it seems, is, what we really need? we really need a broader audience. And I don't mean that as far as diversity. I mean, they want bigger numbers. They want bigger numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, they want to market it to everybody. Like, oh, it's like the Lando stuff. Well, we'll market Billy D. Williams as gender fluid to the LGBT community, and we'll market.
And you're sitting there going, wait a minute, guys. I've never known anybody from any background that didn't like Star Wars already, or like Star Trek or Bond. Like, I've never met people that were just out and out. I mean, yeah, you've met people before who are like, I'm not really into Star Trek, but I never met people of a very specific group that were not into Star Trek. It was always just random people from all disparate groups. It's just whatever your personality was, you didn't like Star Trek. It had nothing to do with your demographic. And so I'm sitting there going, guys, why are you saying that the Star Wars audience, for example, needs to reach a more mainstream group? You know, that's what they say. They say, we were trying to really have Star Wars appeal to a mainstream audience. And I'm like, you don't get more mainstream than Star Wars. Star Wars is the most mainstream you get with a franchise. Like, it literally was loved by everybody. So what are you talking about? Like, I and then counterintuitively, they go after what they've determined through their focus actuarial firms or whatever. They go after, whatever they've determined this new broader mainstream audience is. And that's the audience that turns around and doesn't buy merch, doesn't do this, doesn't do that. And you're going, well, wow, you just killed the franchise by appealing to this group of people over here. And again, that group of people has no demographic lines. I don't even know where they, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just,
well, they buy pot figures. I think they're trying to appeal to the people who will buy a pot figure.
Oh, that's so sad.
I know. Isn't it? I always say it's for the people who just want to cosplay. They don't care about the movies. They don't care about what goes on screen. They care more about their little fictional shipping stuff and going to these conventions to hang out and dress up, because they're not quite Slave Leia sort of cosplayers. They can cosplay as Rey. They can get their little representation. They can get their little inclusion. And I always use an image of like all of the girls in their little Rey costume whenever I make the point here, but they're trying to appeal to the type of people who usually wouldn't cosplay and usually wouldn't see the movies, because they just wouldn't be off the rack stuff.
They're trying to appeal to like normies and muggles and that kind of thing. And that's something that, Jeff, I think you and I even talked about a few years ago, was the fact that what groups they're trying to appeal to are people that are never going to buy the merch. They're never going to go to the movie more than once. They're never going to buy the Blu-rays and the DVDs. They're not going to form message boards and talk about this stuff. They're not going to do any of this. And I'm going, how is that the targeted audience that you guys landed on? I thought you guys were a multi-trillion-dollar company that could find the best actuarial firms ever and focus group this and figure out, hey, the audience we need is the audience we already got. It's like,
no, they're too busy trying to use their little psyops to convince us or convince the public that we're the reason why they're failing, because they didn't actually go in and do their research. No, they have to use the media to spread out this information that, we're all toxic. Because that's what people hear. That's what people recite back. You hear it enough on the news articles and stuff. Then you start to believe, oh, yeah, well, they're just toxic. They're just man babies. They're just a bunch of crybaby fans in their basements, and we're not.
Did you know that if you light up a Funko Pop on fire, that it emits toxic fumes?
Oh, no.
Did you know that?
Oh, no. I believe it.
So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
If a GameStop catches fire, everyone in a 10-mile radius will die.
I'm just simply saying it's probably not made from the most, friendly materials. And so if you set it alight, I'm sure like the plastic fumes are toxic, but again, that's what the normies want and that's what they're getting. And the rest of us are sitting back going, I really don't want to pay $100 for Poe Dameron's X-Wing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You and I were talking off air before. I was like, oh yeah, my Japanese Wolverine figure or something like that. Like it's not about the real fans. So I want to rephrase it, but people that actually like this shit will spend money on stuff and keep it alive forever because it's important. And I always have the mindset, like, say I'm into one thing. Let's say I'm into Star Wars in 1995 or 4, right before the big push with the new video release and the new toys. And I can get somebody excited on a PC game, and then they get excited over this and that. Like organically, you can do that too. Like yes, I get that you want a big audience as a business, but at the same time, you want to keep your core audience as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone will come in because the new movie's hot, but they'll also leave after it cools down, and the people that were there before normally stick around. But that's not what Disney wanted this time.
Yeah, it's very counterintuitive. It's like, how did you guys get to this conclusion that this was the way to go with your audience growth strategy? Yeah, what usually happens in film history is that even if a movie's sci-fi, the movie ends up being so good that core sci-fi audience, if the movie's done well, the core sci-fi audience sends out just obsessive word of mouth. And then the normies also go and see it, which is how a movie like Aliens becomes a huge hit, right? And then Aliens as a franchise has to try and keep that level of quality up, which they have not, but that's the idea. But they've done it completely backwards. They're like, you know what? Abandon all these people. Don't even regard them as the people you want giving out the good word of mouth. We want to make something that, and it's just like, wow, guys, like you really, really stepped in this. Like, it's almost like, well, I guess it's normies taking over the franchise is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you give me a good product, I will spend a lot of money on it. Like I have the Fizzgig Dark Crystal puppet back there. I did not. It wasn't cheap. You know, if they gave us good quality stuff, I would do it in a heartbeat. You know,
Sure.
I've got an office full of crap that it's not been cheap over the years. But you know, that's the thing. A hardcore fan, you give them the right product, the right price point with the right love and the right franchise, they're gonna spend the money. They're gonna go out of their way. You know, it's why people go on the Star Trek cruises, you know, because they're such hardcore fans of the thing. You have your hardcore fan bases. Stop getting rid of them. I mean, stop pissing us off. Stop throwing us away for your little fly-by-night pop figure buying people.
Well,
No.
Mecca, I don't know about you, Mecca. I mean, I agree with you to a huge percentage of what you just said, but I have always wanted a lightsaber that said meow. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with you. I mean, I really feel like you've missed the boat on that one, and I feel like you should revisit, you know, your merch preferences, because the lightsaber that says meow, I mean, just choice. It's just top shelf. That cheap white plastic that it's made of, those terrible blue painted on details, and that meow, you know, on the box. I mean, that's ace right there.
I hope whoever greenlit that lost their job. I don't think I've ever said that on the channel, but to you, sir or madam, who greenlit the meowing lightsaber, which you can see in my latest Star Wars toy video that came out on Christmas, it's real, it's stupid, and damn you. That's all I can say.
Meow, 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 meow. Oh, that's good stuff.
You know, I was in Hollywood yesterday, and guess what they had? Walls and walls of old Force Awakens merchandise with damaged boxes that still hasn't sold.
Really?
And this was, I was at one of those, I filmed it, so there'll be another Star Wars toy video. Don't worry, folks. But just because you think like, oh, you're out here where Disney essentially owns the town, everybody buys into it. It's like, no, these old figures, bobbleheads, Funko Pops, they're the same ones from 2015. Their boxes are faded. They have tears and rips, and there's a wall of them all over the store. They had those big, you remember the 18-inch ones that are like shampoo bottles, essentially, Michael?
Yes, yeah.
Those, it just, it never goes anywhere. Like, no matter where you go in America, you're going to find old Force Awakens crap, Rogue One, all of it.
It's littering the shelves to the point that Hasbro's production volumes for current merchandise like the Mandalorian, Scout Walker, and things like that are minimal to none. I mean, the production numbers are so low. The only things you're ever going to see in any quantity in any store right now are the peg warmers. So, like, I could go to Target today and pick up Rise of Skywalker Rey, but I'm never going to find, you know, the what do you call it? The Mandalorian Black Series. I'm never going to find him. Like, he's been picked over because they didn't make enough. And again, like with Hasbro, it's so strange because, for example, the Black Series of Baze and Chirrut from Rogue One, they came out during Rogue One. Atlanta never saw them. 2 years later, piles of them showed up in a it was like a Tuesday morning or one of those discount stores. And I do mean 2 years later here. And it was like, where were they all this whole time? Because I never saw them in a single actual retail store, Target, Walmart, anywhere.
Well, a lot of that, they'll just sit in the warehouse forever and ever. I was experiencing that with Yokai Watch stuff when I was collecting that. Like, I wanted it. I was trying to order it from Entertainment Earth, Toy Wiz, all the places. Just give me a whole case of it. I will order a whole case. They didn't have them, and they didn't have them, and didn't have the figures. And then finally they had them at the dollar stores, like Dollar General, and because they just cleared them out because they had discontinued the line because nobody was buying the first wave because they made so many of the first wave with this, like the two main characters that nobody wanted. They're like, okay, well, like the 5 people who are into this already have it.
Yeah.
We want the rarer ones. And they would have maybe one rare one for a package. And that would be the one that everybody would be like scalping and putting on eBay, or you just wouldn't find it. So that the peg warmers would be there forever because they would have like the same 5 figures in each wave, except for the one little rarey one. And well, if you don't need to reorder because you have all the peg warmers there of all the same original. It's like the Rays and the Rose Ticos, So I wonder if that was part of it. They only put maybe one good one in the box.
Oh yeah, it was just so weird for my friends to suddenly find them in quantity. Like it was almost like somebody pulled them out of the assortments 2 years ago, left them in the warehouse, and then dumped them off at Tuesday morning. It's like, what? Where's the logic here? I cannot follow this. Well,
I imagine the stores just didn't order anymore. And that was what was happening at Toys R Us. I was asking them, okay, well, where's your next wave? Where's your next set of this, thing I'm collecting? Oh, well, we'll get them in as soon as we sell these others. It's like, well, but it's got a new SKU number. Why can't you get the new one? I mean, I see it here. I see people have it. You just don't. Oh, and then you go and look and nope, it doesn't. It's this exact same SKU number. And it's the exact same UPC, and that was the same thing really, really bad with like the blind bags of medals for the Yokai Watch stuff anyway. So they would have, okay, series 1, all the same UPC, series 2, all the same UPC. So we'd never get series 2 in. And they were doing really similar stuff with the figures too. And it's just, I think a lot of it is that Hasbro wasn't really handling a lot of the stuff very well.
Right. No, that's for sure. Yeah, I'll second that. That's for sure.
But I always felt bad for Hasbro too, because they are in with having certain edicts, like you have to sell this character and this character, and what is it? The phrase toyetic. I don't think that applies to a good chunk of Disney Star Wars stuff, because Michael, back in 2015, they had to re-release this new Millennium Falcon or make Millennium Falcon, which was ugly. It's like, I know the original mold broke, but like, I know there's a way that you could have just resold that old Falcon and saved a lot of tooling dollars. Could have done all sorts of things. Like, if you're gonna, I don't know, if you're gonna make a company pay exorbitant licensing fees, at least let them pick what's gonna sell, or they know what's popular. Because we've seen, like with Kenner, I guess, when did Kenner get purchased by Hasbro?
It was in the early 90s, and they carried the name on certain things like the original Power of the Force 2 figures for quite a while, but it was officially Hasbro that was making them. And then when episode 1 came out in 99, they switched over to the Hasbro logo, and the Kenner logo hasn't been back.
Okay, because the point I wanted to make though is Batman used to be made by Kenner, so I guess Hasbro made the call because on the Batman and Robin documentary, if you watch it, it talks about how the toy company decided the design of the Batmobile and certain elements for Mr. Freeze and certain things like that. So I want to make the point, like, I don't want Hasbro to determine what gets made in the film, if that makes sense.
Right.
But I also don't want Disney to determine we need Rose Tico. It's important to have Asian representation on the shelf. It's like, what? Because nobody bought the fucking thing, so you can't.
Well, you could also sit there and say though that where the mistake was made with Rose was the fact that they have Kelly Marie Tran, who's a beautiful actress, and then they costumed and hairstyled her so poorly, and then made her an antagonistic character for the most part, that she was not appealing both aesthetically in that baggy jumpsuit for a buyer. And so you sit there and you go, wow, that's really weird, because this is Hollywood. Like, can you imagine them saying, hey, for this next Avengers movie, we're going to put Scarlett Johansson in a Ghostbusters jumpsuit for the whole movie. And you're like, wait, what? Like, what? That doesn't even make sense, you know. And,
Yeah.
and that's the same way with Kelly Marie Tran. There was no reason for them to costume her that way, and it gets back to the whole Ryan Johnson trolling everybody kind of thing. He was always wanting to do things that nobody expected. You know, J.J. Abrams is obsessed with questions without answers. Ryan Johnson is obsessed with doing things that people don't want him to do, and that's where I think that character, from a merchandising perspective, lost out. Because if she had a cool Star Wars costume and not a janitor coveralls thing, she would have sold a lot better. I mean, even her sister, who's barely in the movie, got an action figure that sold better than her. And her sister was barely in the film.
Yeah, 1 minute, right?
1 minute. So yeah, like it's sad. It's really sad.
Well, like, look at Zori Bliss, that Kerry Russell bounty hunter. You'd think you'd pump that figure out now because it looks cool. Nope. But guess what? We have another Kylo Ren because his black padded suit is different from his other black padded suit. Like, at least have the decency like Kenner did back in the day. It's like, hey, Darth Vader's in all these movies. It's the same toy. Chewbacca, it's the same toy, new box. Like, just pop out the same Kylo Ren figure. I don't care. Like, the fact that we have to waste toy space for a slightly modified figure bothers me. Like, at least Iron Man, each movie, Iron Man's completely different.
Right.
So you can justify all 42 different designs.
Sure.
Or, you know, Spider-Man. Never mind. We're not getting Spider-Man. That's a topic for another time. But my point is, like, they justify the change for that. Disney, no. But
they're just trying. Well, they know, like let's say with all the Chewbaccas or something, they know that people will buy Chewbacca. That's all it is.
Well, Chewbacca now, I know you've seen this, Michael. Chewbacca is now a Black Series figure, and he's $40-something, and you can get him with C-3PO, but I think it's only online. Have you seen that?
Yeah, it is. It's only online, and I'm really bummed because the only Star Wars Black Series that I own are the Empire Strikes Back heroes and main villains, like Boba Fett, Darth Vader. And I really wanted to replace my Chewbacca with that Chewbacca. And then I was like, $50? Nah. You know, I thought I've already got a 3PO who's not broken apart, and I've got a Chewbacca. As much as I'd love to have that, I'm just going to pass, because I can't take Lando's cape off anyway, because for some reason they didn't give him shoulders underneath the cape. So he just looks like a, dude without shoulders. So I can't pair him with, because I was going to pair him up with Leia and in the escape outfit, and then Han or Chewbacca and 3PO on the back and do the whole Bespin escape thing. And then I was probably going to get some dude that, had an ice cream maker in his hand and do the whole thing. But yeah, I get it. It's like $50 for that. You've already made Chewbacca a million times. You haven't had to do that mold again. 3PO is just busted up parts of the 3PO you already made. So why is this so expensive? Yeah, I totally agree.
Our friend Matt G says, why could Endgame work at 3 hours but not episode 9? Well, we know that Disney, the whole thing is, and Mecca, Michael, feel free to chime in, but at least from my standpoint, Disney knows they made a shit product. They need to get as many people to watch it as quick as they can before they realize they've made a mistake. So once you've given your money, they can't take it back, or you can't get it back. So it's over. It's like, haha, we got all these screenings. We got more screenings in now because more people rushed out to see it. So, the whole fear of missing out thing. And it's done. Endgame, everyone knew this was it. Everyone was getting prepared. It was a big cultural event, probably the biggest cinematic cultural event of 2019. Mm-hmm. Star Wars just was another thing to close the year out. I mean, I heard more stories about how ugly Cats was than I heard how great Star Wars was. So that's just where we were. What do you guys?
Yeah, nobody cares anymore. They've turned away so many of the hardcore fan base. They've replaced or killed off or whatever so many of the original characters. They have nothing at Disneyland with the original characters. Your normies, your people like my mother, your older generation of fans even are gonna go in and watch Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia, and they're not there. So this is why they didn't keep coming back to them. They just don't care that much.
There's just these characters were not written with any depth, and because they kept changing from movie to movie drastically. Mm-hmm. Some of them, like you were talking about Poe earlier. Well, Poe wasn't even supposed to survive the TIE fighter crash in Force Awakens. His character was supposed to die in the original script, even into shooting, and that's why Finn has his jacket. because Finn's like, thanks for getting me out of there, man. I guess I'm going to take your jacket. You know, he's already dead or something. But then J.J. Abrams liked working with him so much in the first scenes that they were shooting together. And he saw the rushes or the dailies, whatever you want to call it. And he said, I really need to write him into the whole movie. We shouldn't lose him. I really like him, which is why it makes no sense how Poe survived that, but wasn't right there with the wreck. Like, all of that makes no sense. So then Poe, you think, oh, they saved him, so Poe's going to move on and be this important character. No, Poe ended up doing nothing. Finn had all this set up, nothing. And then each movie, they keep redefining them. Oh, Poe's a hothead in the second movie, and Finn is having struggles with, I don't know, love and, I don't know, eat, pray, love. I don't know. He's having problems, and Rey is off training. And then in the third movie, it's like, well, Poe is now like Mecca said, Poe is now Nathan Drake, and he loses chess games to Chewbacca or something. And Finn has a secret that he won't tell even the audience. And Rey is now in love with Kylo. It's like, if you can't organically and logically stick with these characters from film to film, you're not going to want to keep revisiting them in the merch. You're just not.
Mm-mm.
If there's no logical progression, why am I going to buy it? I mean, seriously, you know.
Now, our next two super chats come from two, speaking of merchandise, Michael, two fans that are super into the merchandise, super big fans of yours. First off, Logan Michael, anti-Funko Pop, says, Retro Blasting is awesome. This will be a great stream.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
And then next is a mutual friend of ours, Salvador, who says, Hail Jeff and Hail Michael, my two favorite channels in one place. It's what dreams are made of. And don't forget to sub to Retro Blasting and World Class Bullshitters. Pound the muff button.
And sub to Mecca. She's awesome too.
Oh, she is. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Make me blush, including me and everything.
Becca, do you get a lot of toys sent to your P.O. box? Do you have a P.O. box?
Yes, I do. I get them all the time. I get a lot of cool stuff there. Absolutely.
Michael, do you have a P.O. box for your channel?
I do. It was requested by fan demand, and because people would want to send me donations because it's a very generous community, the toy community. They're some of the best people in the world, and I finally said, all right, guys, I'm because I'm not comfortable with people sending me stuff, but they were like, no, I really want to help you out. And I'm like, okay, and now it's gotten to the point where people are calling me up. I say calling me up because I'm an old Gen Xer and I always think of the phone. But they're messaging me online and they're saying, hey, I'd really like to donate some stuff to you from when I was a kid. And the other day, a guy met me in downtown Atlanta. Been a longtime subscriber, never met him before. And he just had this bin full of immaculate toys from his childhood, like boxed GoBots and rare He-Man stuff with all the accessories. And he's like, I just want you to safeguard this. I don't want to sell it to some rando. And I just want you to have it and use it in your videos. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Like, all right. And that has been, one of the Star Wars pieces that I was given, it was donated to me, was the rare UK Palatoy Death Star playset. Because
I want one so bad.
Yeah, because the British kids, they said they didn't think that the plastic Kenner Death Star playset would sell over there because of the price. So Palatoy came up with a sort of semi hemisphere, like a half circle, 3-dimensional Death Star playset, which is really awesome, but you could only get it in like Canada, Australia, and the UK. And so when he called me up, he was like, I have a Palatoy Death Star I want to send you. Or sorry, he would have said it like this. He would have said, I have a Palatoy Death Star playset I'd like to send you. And I said, I was like, oh. And he sent me a picture and had the box, all the parts and everything. And I said, I'm ethically bound to tell you that this playset is worth a lot of money. And he's like, no, I know. I just don't want it to go to some person I don't know, and I'd really like you to have it. And I'm like, okay, I don't think you heard me. I'm ethically bound to tell you that this playset is worth a lot of money. And he was like, no, I just want you to have it. And I'm like, okay. And it had every single part original, including that dome on the top and everything. It's It's prominently displayed behind me in every live stream now on the shelf with my Millennium Falcon. I mean, people are so generous and passionate about this stuff. They're passionate about their interests, and to an emotional level. And I try to honor that. When someone gives me that's probably the longest answer to a yes or no question. Do you have a PO box? Sorry about that.
Dude, I get it. Believe me. That's why I think our community gravitates towards us the way they do, because we're just like everyone else. We care about the pop culture, all of it, the way everyone else does. So,
oh yeah, so somebody sent me most recently. Now I have one viewer, and I do have to shout him out. He's always sending me the most amazing stuff. Michael Clark. I have another viewer who sent me. I have to shout him out too. Abra's 2 cents sent me like 200 CDs at least of Doctor Who audiobook Big Finish. I have to find a place for them. I want to display them because they're numbered. They're, the original doctors going in doing the acting for them. They're the Big Finish, like the audio dramas.
Mm-hmm.
They are so amazing. And, there's like box sets, and I'm like, dude, I didn't realize you were giving me like 200 CDs.
Mm-hmm.
And I always have to point out how more excited I was opening that box, seeing all of the and any box I see pretty much of anything, but especially with the Doctor Who, more so excited to see a box of audio dramas from all the old classic doctors than I am to watch the new season. And that's that just kind of goes to show how amazing this community is. And again, it's like I don't even want to know how much these things are worth, because I don't want to feel terrible, and like, because if I go look them up and be like, I have to send these back, I just tell people like, I can't accept these huge but they send the most amazing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I get stuff from Australia, I get stuff from everywhere, and we just have the most amazing community here, and I just love everybody so much.
Yeah, agreed.
Michael, you'd love this. One of my listeners, whose name is Realities Frank, sent me almost a good chunk of the original Toy Biz Marvel Legends run. And we're talking like Galactus Build-A-Figure, Apocalypse, like all of them, just everything, every accessory. It was so bizarre.
Wow, that's cool.
I completely missed out on half of this shit because I was in high school, late grade school, high school, when there was like a quick phase where I was like, toy collecting is dumb. I don't want anything unless it's like one Spider-Man figure I'll buy from the movie. And then I quickly got out of that phase, but I missed out on a good chunk of shit. And some of those things go for good money. And so I have cases of this shit in my house back.
Wow. Well, yeah, because the clamshells, for those, if they're still in the original card backs, we call them card backs, but they're really like big plastic bubbles. They take up a lot of space.
Oh God, yeah. They were beautiful. Like on the shelves, I remember you'd see those and you couldn't open them or do anything because I guess it was like, well, it was the best security you could get for it. You had a comic book in there, sometimes trading cards, 5 accessories. Like, I knew cost is the reason why we don't have nice things anymore. But, come on, a couple of years ago, we were living, high on the hog for the quality of toys we had.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's all obfuscation at this point with Hasbro. I mean, you can't really. It's all spin with them. It's like, is that PR or is that the truth? Because I don't, if you guys are sitting there making a sail barge for $600, you could afford to do some of these toys you say you can't do. There's no way.
I'm holding out for that X-Men Blackbird jet.
Yeah, that is a good thing to hold out for, sir.
I would if they did a HasLab of that. I'd be like, I have to do this. Another thing to ship back to Cincinnati. Mr. Millennium says, Hail High Council. Michael, your last 2 videos are awesome. I love your content and perspective. Keep up the great work.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So, folks, this is RetroBlasting that we have tonight. His name is Michael. We've had him on the channel before. We'll have him on the channel again. But you got to be subscribed because he puts out all kinds of great content. And I personally recommend the Star Wars Follies. If you want to have a good laugh at some classic retro Star Wars toys, Michael's the only dude on the internet that has the nerve to actually do it. So.
Yeah, and I'm putting up volume 3 again. So if you guys start going through the Star Wars Follies thing and you don't see episode 3, it's because after 7 years online, CNC Music Factory finally wanted its $1 a month, and so I pulled it down to put the new music onto it. So be patient with me. Episode 3 will come back.
Jack Bauer says, recovering from surgery, so stuck at home. Thanks for the continuous fan-focused entertainment. Hollywood could learn a thing or two. Well, first off, Jack, I hope your surgery wasn't anything serious. And thank you for the support. And yeah, fan-focused, that's what we do. We work directly for you guys. So it's not like we have corporate bosses or overlords. It's like, do the fans want this video? I think they do. And then people watch it in turn. So thank you.
Midnight's Edge After Dark is saying here, Jeff, that he just got your message. So,
oh, okay. I'll respond to him in a second. Mm-hmm. Draco Argentis says, "Party on, Council." Well, party on, Draco. Apple Gothic says, the movie felt super rushed, but it somehow ended up in my number 3 spot. Not sure how that happened, but I ended up liking it more than most, I guess. Oh, more power to you, dude. Like, just because you guys like something we don't doesn't mean, we can't all be cool.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with anybody liking what they like, as long as they don't turn around and call somebody else a hater for not liking it. That's when I start to get up on my hackles.
Yeah.
Our friend Kitsubin Solo says, after seeing The Rise of Skywalker, I owe Rian Johnson an apology.
Oh.
That's some serious words.
Okay.
I don't think I owe Rian Johnson anything besides a middle finger, but that's oh, yeah. I guess I should thank Rian Johnson, because if it wasn't for his movie, I wouldn't have the relationship I have. So that's true.
Right? Huh? Right. This is one of the things I always kind of have to look at the big picture here. I always have to kind of remind myself, okay, well, I have a purpose anymore. This has turned into a career for everybody. We've made friendships. People have made relationships in the Fandom Menace. All of us have found each other because of, how bad Star Wars was and how bad Star Trek was and Ghostbusters and all of these things that came around since 2016. And so it hasn't been 100% negative. And people who always say, "Oh, you're just complaining. It's like, no. I thank the stars all the time that we have the ridiculousness to make fun of on YouTube, and we have the opportunities that we do."
Oh yeah, I wouldn't. I can't take anything for granted. I'm really appreciative for all the stuff we've been given. But the movies are bad. I'm not going to apologize for Rian Johnson for that.
No, he can apologize to us for making a bad movie.
Let's see. Arakin74 says, didn't watch it, but I heard about it. Well, Arakin74, thank you. Hey, that's good enough. I did tell people straight up, don't watch this movie after I could review it. I can't call for a boycott. I had to, be able to be honest with everybody. Yeah, don't watch this shit. Like, if you're like, oh, I was waiting for you guys to review it, I missed your live review, should I watch it? Nope. No, just don't. There's nothing you have to see. It doesn't end the story well at all.
Nope.
Apple Gothic says, best compilation of video game cutscenes this year for The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, I agree. Like, Michael, maybe it was you. He actually, he being Poe Dameron, pronouns pal, is dressed as Nathan Drake. So
that was Mecca. Mecca said
that.
Mecca.
Okay, Mecca. Sorry, Mecca.
He literally is just like Nathan Drake. I mean, we're not making it up.
Yeah, no, you're right. When I saw him, I thought, like SAS, something like that. And then when you said Nathan Drake, I was like, oh shit. Yeah, no, that's actually Nathan Drake. Holy crap.
And I love those games. I thought number 3 was great, but I don't want to watch Star Wars mixed with Uncharted.
No.
I want Nathan Fillion to play Nathan Drake in a movie separate from this, not this. The Fixer, thank you again. He says, Rise of Skywalker, 4 out of 10. I'd rather be waterboarded again.
Oh my God.
Again?
Well, remember now, Jeff, we're not going to judge anybody's kink. Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Hey, kink, cool. But if somebody has forcibly waterboarded you, that's the story I want to hear. I'm not gonna, don't Maz Kanata me and say it's a story for another time. No, dude, tell me if you've been waterboarded. I need to know. Andy from the UK, thank you very much. He says, truth bombs, fantastic stream, WCBS rocks, party boob. Andy, thank you for all the kind words you've been sending my way. I appreciate those. And yeah, rock, we do rock, and party boob. We'll have a party boob t-shirt out maybe this year. Captain Liberator, thank you very much. He says, vault all Disney Star Wars, Songs of the South needs the company. You look it. I would love to just Raiders of the Lost Ark. after the final screening of The Rise of Skywalker, we see the whatever the hard drive put into a crate and just wheeled into the warehouse. And only top men know the location of those films.
I just keep wondering, quite honestly, given Disney's precedent for decanonizing this or announcing that this, even though the EU was never canonized, they put it even deeper into the irrelevant bin with their announcement at the start of all this. I just keep wondering if somebody's not going to come along at some point after Bob Iger and say, hey, we've decided that we're going to make another trilogy, and this one's going to be relabeled Legends or something like that. Because do you really think that this trilogy can stand? Do you think they'll just let it stand? I have such a hard time with that. I really do.
I think the possibility of it getting decanonized is stronger than people would let on, because Disney's done some crazy shit. And culturally, these movies don't add anything. People are up in arms over special edition changes and stuff because Star Wars changed entertainment. It changed people's lives. It changed your childhood, and it stuck around because of how good it was. These are like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. No one's going to miss them in a couple years. Hell, no one misses them now. So,
right.
Yeah, it's possible.
I hope so, because I would love to see some scenario where they just make a trilogy that's set after Return of the Jedi, and they don't say anything, and the trilogy does really well, and then when they're about to release the third one, they go to Comic-Con to preview it or something, and they bring up a big graphic, and the Roman numerals of 7 to 9 shift from Force Awakens to Rise of Skywalker over into that trilogy, and they surprise everybody by saying, yeah, you've been watching the real episodes 7 through 9 the whole time. And then we're all like, yeah, and then, I don't know. I go through a whole bottle of Old Overholt and just, enjoy myself. I don't know.
Well, that's a reality I'd like to join you in. So, I mean, I know the DeLorean only does time, but the TARDIS does dimensions. So, yeah.
That's true.
We'll all jump in the TARDIS. It's bigger on the inside than the out, and we'll go to that. Well, wait, you can't dictate where the TARDIS goes, right? It takes you where it wants to take you, or something like that.
It used to be like that, and now they've forgotten all about it.
They changed it. Okay.
So they keep changing it every 5 minutes.
That's true.
But that's okay. The Starship Discovery is also bigger on the inside now. So.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
I can't watch that show.
Oh, that's so depressing.
It's terrible. I think Robert Meyer Burnett tweeted out. I think it was Major Grin who compiled a entire a comparison of, okay, well, here's the turbo lifts in real Star Trek, and here's what the turbo lifts look like in Discovery. And it's like, okay, you've got a giant track going through this giant, planet-sized starship. It's just bad. It's typical JJ stuff, even though it's not JJ. Still, it's his little disciples. It's Alex Kurtzman who used to work for him, and
yeah,
everything goes back to JJ. He's like the patient zero that's just destroying Hollywood, and he just leaves his little germs everywhere he goes into every franchise. Because now you've got Michelle Rejwan left behind on Star Wars once he leaves, and you got Alex Kurtzman left behind on Star Trek. It's like, oh great, so he'll go and ruin Superman and Green Lantern, and then who's he going to leave behind there?
I don't know if he can do a worse job than Zack Snyder. So
yeah, that's true, but
it's like a hold my beer moment.
I'm with Mecca though. I'm not going to go see his Superman movie, and I'm not going to go see his Green Lantern movie. His track record speaks for itself. It's like if you've got a crazy cousin or something that always breaks a car when they work on it, and then somebody in the family is like, "Hey, I heard you're having some battery problems. Why don't you let, Trey take a look at it or whatever?" And you're like, I do not want Trey touching my car. It's the same thing with Abrams. It's like, I don't want to go see an Abrams film. I'm done with that man. I'm done with him.
Mm-hmm.
Our friend Grimjoy says, "What's up, my Ewoks? Hail the High Council." Thank you, Grimjoy. For once, you can call us Ewoks and we won't be offended by it. Logan Michael Anti Funko Pop says, do you think Hasbro will make a Star Wars Retro Collection Series 2? I'm hoping they make it 100% characters we never saw in Kenner form. Michael, since you are the vintage Star Wars expert on the panel, what are your thoughts on this?
I know they keep making the retro card backs, but they're not so far recreating any more Kenner figures. The Kenner figures they did make were real dodgy. They couldn't even hold their weapons. The weapons would just fall out of their hands, which is like, how'd you guys mess that up? So they were more like display pieces on card than they were functional toys. I would like to think that the next round, if they do one, should be something like the characters we never got. That would be the smart move. But I'm not going to hold my breath that they're going to make a smart decision at Hasbro. It's like Abrams. Their track record right now just doesn't. I would not bet on that, at the craps table. I would not do that. So I'm going to say no. They're not going to be that smart.
Yeah, Logan, Michael, we got Tarkin, and I think that's probably it.
Yeah, because Disney's never going to approve a Slave Leia.
Nope.
Which is something that's the other one that people are like, we really wanted a Kenner version of Slave Leia. That's never going to happen now. So yeah, my vote would be don't bank on that.
Well, if they do a series 2, I'm just going to play devil's advocate. I say next year, well, not next year, this year. I say at Toy Fair into Comic-Con, we get a good slew of 40th anniversary Empire Strikes Back stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just throw it out there. We may get like a vintage Bespin Han, Bespin Luke, Princess Leia, Lando, or something like that, and that's it.
Right.
Why re-release Vader or Yoda? You throw Yoda in there too, like the same amount of characters from the previous line, just with updated hero costumes and Yoda and Lando, and that's it. So that's just I'm playing devil's advocate there for
sure. And there's a good chance, because I just speculated that they wouldn't do cool stuff with the retro collection in front of 2,000 people, that it will actually happen, and I will look like an idiot. So there's better chances now that it will. So there's that to hold on to.
I'm just hoping that, okay, so since you said you collect the Black Series Empire Strikes Back characters, I got to give it to them. I think the Han Solo looks pretty damn solid.
Yep.
And it's the best Han Solo ever in the 6-inch scale. My nod would go to the SH Figure Arts A New Hope figure. I think that looks really good.
Yeah, every time. Yeah.
I actually have 2 of those, but and that was one of the things I did bring with me. But no, I'm hoping that we get some really cool Empire. We're gonna need a new Bespin Luke.
They're doing that from what they said in the list. They're doing that.
They have to. That other one is a joke, dude.
Yeah. Oh, I've got him. And when you stand him next to the Bespin Han and Bespin Leia, it's like, oh God.
Leia looks real.
Yeah, she does. It's creepy. It's real creepy. And she looks just as good in the Hoth outfit as she does in the Bespin Escape jumpsuit. And it's like, ooh, that's weird. It's like Indian in the Cupboard, but with Carrie Fisher. It's really strange.
Well, those are some of the things I've gotten in the P.O. box. Somebody sent me newer Black Series stuff. And I just am like, I look at it and I go, man, I'm really missing out. But then I look at other stuff they put out and I'm like, I'm not really missing out. So it's yes, I have the Mandalorian.
Right.
I don't have whatever else to go with it. So I don't feel like whatever. But something about Carrie Fisher's likeness is so easy to capture. You've seen the Hot Toys, Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, they look just as realistic as the picture you see of her. So it's pretty damn impressive.
Did you see the guy who improved the Rogue One ending shot through off-the-shelf software?
No.
He used that. I'll find the link and send it to you. It's on YouTube. He used just the facial recognition software that they use for deep fakes, like the Derp Fakes series and stuff like that. And he was like, watch this. He's like, I did this in, 8 hours or whatever. And he shows the comparison of Carrie Fisher's actual face from New Hope, the Rogue One effect, and then his effect. And you're going, wow, can we not just replace that shot with that one? Because that's basically Carrie Fisher in the movie now, and not some weird uncanny valley Carrie Fisher.
Send me that link for sure. I'm gonna watch it.
It's like they overthought it.
That's what they do with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Grimjoy wanted to say my T button got stuck. Well, Grimjoy, thank you very much. We understood you still. Thunder Robot says, tricked you, Disney did. Think Baby Yoda is a Galaxy's Edge exclusive. That's what I heard on a Fox News broadcast. Well, I believe that is fake news, sir, because you can buy Baby Yoda on Big Bad Toy Store right now. I don't want one, but you can get one there. And Amazon, and anywhere toys are sold.
I want
So,
Baby Yoda.
open your wallet to Baby Yoda.
I want Baby Yoda.
You've opened your heart.
He's so cute. Oh, that little guy. He's got little teethies. He has a little magic hand. Oh, I love him. He's so cute. I can't help it.
Craft75, thank you very much for your generous super chat. Says, love you guys. Happy New Year's, Jeff, and all. Love and light, heart, and rock on emojis. Thank you, Craft75. Rock on to you too, my friend. And it's been a happy New Year. Michael, did you do anything fun for New Year's?
What did I do for New Year's? I played my Christmas gift, which was a very generous gift from Melinda. I got the arcade 1-up Star Wars cabinet. And
Ooh.
I was playing all the classic Atari cabinet games of Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi. I was getting my ass handed to me in Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. I still haven't figured out the timing on that sucker. And then I was just kind of, getting the studio ready for 2020. I wasn't working per se. I was just kind of cleaning up and getting prepped. And then Melinda and I ended up watching a movie over the midnight, 11 to midnight, whatever you call it. We watched Rumble in the Bronx.
Fantastic.
Which I was very happy to watch. And then right after that, we watched Super Cop. So
meet the cop who can't be stopped.
That's right.
That was Jackie Chan was my hero in like 1996.
Yep. He is for me too. He's awesome.
Favorite Jackie Chan film?
Ooh, Drunken Master 2, probably. AKA Legend of Drunken Master. But I really do like Police Story 3, aka Super Cop, or is that Police Story 4? I get that mixed up. And then I also like Operation Condor for the Indiana Jones connection.
That's you picked ones that I would rank. Now, is Drunken Master 2 the one that was like made in the 90s?
Yeah, and it came over here in theaters as Legend of Drunken Master. Yeah.
I actually really, really like that movie.
Yeah, it's one of his best, if not the best, Jackie Chan film ever. And that's saying a lot because he's got a lot of great movies.
Let's see. Our friend. Oh, sorry, Mecca. What did you do for New Year's? I don't want to leave you hanging.
What did I do for New Year's? I think I streamed with Midnight's Edge After Dark. We did a pretty long stream. I was sick. I just finally got over being really, really sick last week. So yeah, and I think that's about it. I really didn't do anything.
Jeff, I sent you a picture still of the Rogue One improvement. If you want to post that on the thing real quick, if you want to.
I am going to right now because there is no way. How? Okay, so this dude made, and this is a video that you can watch, right?
Yeah, you can. I'll send you the link to it as well. But it's a video where he shows how he did it.
Okay, now I'm pulling this up in just a second. There's no way that Disney couldn't have done this effect. That's why I can't make excuses for like $1 billion company.
Yeah.
Here we go, folks. This while I read our super chats, this is what was done by a fan with deepfake technology for Princess Leia in Rogue One.
Yeah, the middle one is what the fan did. I mean, it's just like what?
How?
What?
Why couldn't they do better? That's the thing. That's my problem with all these Disney Star Wars movies is that they just need to do better.
And I want to make one thing clear, Mecca. That is just a still to show the comparison at the end. He does the whole scene, so it's in motion. It's not just him photoshopping a still to look better. The whole thing is in motion. So yeah,
well, you guys probably saw what they did, removing Henry Cavill's weird lip thing, fixing the reshoots from what was it, Justice League, where fans actually went in and fixed the really bad CGI do away with the mustache, and they made it look believable.
I just wonder if those effects houses in these instances aren't given enough budget to do things in the compressed timetable, and fans, on the other hand, have a lot of spare time as a hobby to do it and make it look really great for nothing. So I'm speculating. I don't know, but
to jump off your fan thing too, it's like with the Mandalorian. They brought the 501st in because they didn't have enough stormtroopers to populate the last 2 episodes of the show.
Right.
So I mean, why couldn't Disney farm? I'm not saying they don't know these people, so it's not like they're like, oh, this person was available, we just chose not to use them type of thing. But it's like there are really talented people out there. These effects houses can find people. I don't know. There's no excuse. Is all I'm going to get at. Long story short.
Right.
Westgard Toribyong, thank you very much. Do you think it has helped the sequels? Do you think it would have helped the sequels if they didn't kill Luke's Padawans and you had a couple of Jedi Knights trained by Luke? I think it would have been an interesting point because you think, Luke defeats Vader. He's going to carry on the Jedi.
Where are they?
Where are they? Because Ben isn't the first person he trained. Or at least it didn't say it in the movie, did it?
No.
Jesse's got an idea. She's going to redo the whole Disney trilogy in the video. You're doing that, right? At some point, her and I were actually laying around talking about it and some of the ideas she had with Luke and how, I'll let you watch the video, but it bounces off of this. Like Disney had the ability to build the world, but they kept it so small just to be like, hey, Han, Luke, and Leia are back. Yet they never meet. And they didn't think of what Luke would actually do. Like I think it was J.J. Abrams talking about the old Michael. Is it Michael Arndt was the original writer for Episode 7?
Yep, Michael Arndt. Yep. And
he says how like every time they tried to introduce Luke, the other characters became less interesting. It's like, why couldn't you at least give Luke a logical backstory? Like maybe even if like you had to gun to your head, keep him out of the film. At least when you are introduced to him, you have a million cool things that he's done. Not I just ran off and died on a rock somewhere.
Yeah, there were so many directions that you could take Luke in that movie that it's inexcusable the way they decided to do that. And Jeff, you and I talked about this before. All of us we all wanted to see Luke, Leia, and Han together again. That's why they did the trailer with Chewie, we're home. They knew what we wanted, and yet they were like, well, no, we don't want Luke and Han upstaging our new characters. And then Michael Arndt, kept saying, well, JJ, every time the new characters are introduced to the old characters, the new characters become uninteresting with every draft. And that's on the record. I'm not even paraphrasing. Like he says that in an interview with Screenwriters Guild. You would think that Disney would have said, well, yeah, for this movie, why don't we have the 3 original characters, go on an adventure together with the 3 new characters, and sort of, in other words, they pass the torch that way rather than pass the torch by dying. It's just the decisions here are mind-boggling. There would have been no disadvantage to keeping the original characters alive and write them out, because if you keep them alive, nobody gets mad, even if they're written out. At least they're not dead. It's like even George Lucas knew that back during Return of the Jedi. Yeah, Harrison Ford wanted to die, but George Lucas was like, no, I think you really need to stay alive. I think the audience would really prefer that because they like you. And I'm going to re-edit that Greedo scene too because people really like you. So, McClunky. Yeah.
I can't watch that cut of Star Wars, dude. Like, the messed up part is, Michael, they fixed the color issues from the Blu-ray.
And
it actually is like the best looking Star Wars you'll see.
Really?
It looks great.
But
it's dumb.
McClunky. It's like gibberish. It's just more of the Episode 1 gibberish crap.
Right. And I have a theory about why that line is in there without a subtitle, because they were Lucas was prepping that movie for 3D conversion because he had the 3D movies in the theater, Phantom Menace, and then that didn't do well because, like, George, why would you start with that? That's hubris. Failed. So then Attack of the Clones was the only other one that got out, and he stopped. And then at that point he said, no, we're not gonna keep doing the 3D conversions. And then he sold everything to Disney. But I'm convinced that he was prepping New Hope for the 3D conversion and making new tweaks to it before he did. And he didn't have time to put the subtitle in there because, as Mecca just said, the Episode 1 cutscene where Warwick Davis is Rhodey and says McClunky actually has the subtitle that says something to the effect of, you're coming to a bad end or something, or you're going to come to a bad end. And so clearly he was trying to get Greedo to say something threatening to make it very clear that Han Solo was in mortal danger, and then he never finished the subtitle because he didn't need to. And then I just keep wondering if Disney didn't do their oversight on that 4K transfer and just vomited it out onto their streaming service.
Well,
checking it.
I think by contract they weren't allowed to touch the film, so they just George Lucas could have had, I don't know, Jar Jar Binks replace Luke Skywalker, and Disney would just have to grin and bear it due to the contract. So
wow, that's so sad.
It's the cynical nature of George Lucas. Like there are certain special edition changes I can get behind, and some I can't. McClunky is one of them. R2D2 behind the rock is another one that's stupid. The Crate Dragon Call is another one that I can't stand. And so I can't watch Star Wars in 4K because it's just dumb.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even get angry about it anymore. I'm sitting here like smiling because it's just what the hell? Like, why would you do this to anybody? It's the worst thing to do to your fan base.
Have you heard about the Team -1 project?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I have their copies of New Hope and Jedi. They're still working on Empire. They're really, really great. Like being able to sit back and watch these films the way they were originally made and not having to brace yourself for some really bad change or some farting animal or something that they added in, It's really nice. Now, they are release prints, but they've been professionally restored and cleaned up by the fans. And they look really good for something. I mean, they look better than the Blu-rays do. I'll put it that way.
The despecialized editions or the
this is there's the Harmy editions, which are despecialized, and those look really good too.
Yeah.
These are, because Harmies are sort of like simulations, like very, very good reconstructions with the best elements possible as he digitally manipulates certain backgrounds to drop things out and move things around and get things back to the way they looked theatrically. These are actual theatrical prints of the original cuts that have survived in collectors' hands that have been scanned by the fans in and then digitally cleaned up, all the pock marks and stuff taken out of them, and then put out on the internet as well. And so I have both the Harmy despecialized and the Team -1, which is called 4K 77, 4K 83, and then Empire will be 4K 80. They're gorgeous. They're really, really gorgeous. And you feel like you're watching, you feel like you're back in 1977 again, or 1983. The Return of the Jedi print, by the way, it was like it never even got shown. I mean, that Jedi print is so clean. As a geek would say, it's in mint condition. It was never pulled off the card.
I can see these somehow.
Yeah, I've got copies of them. I can try and get them to you.
Well, here's the thing. You can legally own the re-edits if you have the actual legit copies, as long as you have a legit copy of the released version.
Yes.
Oh, I have those on Blu-ray then. So I can do it.
Yeah, so you can just download them.
Yep.
My only complaint with the Harmy's Despecialized, I've watched them here, I don't like the audio. I don't think the audio is up to snuff.
Well, then you might not like the audio on these either, because all the audio that they've been using for years on these reconstructions and despecialized is always the THX Laserdisc audio from 1993.
Oh, I still want to see them, but
yeah,
I mean, so much of the Star Wars magic comes from the sound.
Yeah,
and it's weird. Like, you watch it on Blu-ray, you get the reconstructed sound officially from Lucasfilm, where they went back and fixed it. Awesome. But you get some bullshit changes. You get the best picture quality that exists for Return of the Jedi, but you also get 30-year-old audio tech. So it's always a trade-off with Star Wars. You can never just sit down. Sadly, I think the only Star Wars movies you can watch in the best quality of the original way they were ever released is the Disney shit. Because even the Lucas stuff has small changes, I believe. For sure, for episode 1, maybe 2, and maybe 3. Don't know, but
there's a guy out there that has a blog where he's gone through everything frame by frame for every version that's ever come out and shown all the different changes that have been made to each film each time. And he's even done them for the Disney Plus versions. And there are more changes even in those, small as they are, than I would have thought.
Can you link me that too? I'd like to check that out.
Yeah, totally can. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm the kind of guy that go, oh, I thought that looked different.
Yeah, no problem. I'll look it up right now.
Our friend Robbie Mack says, Baby Jar Jar. Oh, God. Baby Yoda's not as bad as a Baby Jar Jar. Dean Holtzhoffel, thank you very much, Dean. He says, Jeff, did you see the new McFarlane DC Multiverse figs? I'm so excited for Batman Who Laughs. Hope you had a great holiday. Dean, it was a pretty good holiday. Like I said, got some family stuff going on, so it was kind of a sad holiday. But I did see the McFarlane stuff. Personally, I was a smidge disappointed. I wanted to jump in because McFarlane made some Star Trek figures that I bought. I bought Picard. I bought Kirk. I'm ready to buy Spock if they ever make the figure. Not Michael Burnham. But those were fantastic 7-inch figures for $20. They looked great. They have this new, like, more translucent skin, so they don't look as painted as other toys. And then I saw the Superman Jim Lee design. I thought that was okay. But overall, like, the animated series figures, I thought looked terrible. So I'm going to personally pass on the DC multiverse figures from McFarlane. Michael, have you seen those?
Yeah, I've seen them. I can't keep up anymore with how many different versions of 6-inch DC figures there have been and from what toy company. I've pretty much given up at this point. And I'm like, well, I don't know if they've made a Christopher Reeve and a Linda Carter or not anymore. So I just kind of walk away and try not to drool into my bib at that point. Like I cannot keep up for some reason. I feel like, and again, it might be because I haven't kept a close enough eye on it, but I feel like the DC merchandising for their superheroes has been rather chaotic the last 3 to 4 years, especially, and I haven't found anything to latch on to.
You know what we should do soon? We should have a toy stream, like where we just discuss this kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah, because I think that'd be cool, and yeah, there's a lot of chaos right now, a lot of underwhelming chaos, mediocrity in the toy aisle. If Mecca, if you can come up with a better title, I'm open to it.
That's that. I'm gonna go with yours. I actually really like that a lot. Maybe we'll call up Salvador and see if he's free. And
yeah,
stream. That'd be a lot of fun. Because folks, check out his channel, 2 Cent Toys. He's pumping out tons and tons of reviews, good stuff, and he does customs, and he sends me his customs via the PO box. He made me a custom 6-inch scale penguin car from Batman Returns. It's awesome. Like the wheels are just like in the movie, how they each have a different design. I couldn't pack it with me, but I'm kind of bummed that I couldn't because it's so well done. So, because I definitely just want to sit and talk to you about like the weird minutia of some of this shit, you know?
Yeah. The weirdness. There's no bottom to it. I mean, you can just keep digging.
I know, and I'm always fascinated by the international companies that make toys now. Like there's this company that's doing an Inspector Gadget, and I'm like dying to find out information from it, but there's nothing. So I hope it doesn't get canceled. It's my number one most wanted thing for 2020.
Ooh, see now Inspector Gadget. I was watching that as a kid. I heard they were doing another like reboot though. Like
they did on Netflix.
Oh, okay. No, like they're doing like another live action movie version.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, don't.
I mean, I personally thought the Matthew Broderick one was bad enough, so
let's not do any more bad reboots of things.
Yeah, the I've been trying to get the action figures for that line that were in the early 90s, which is funny because the show itself was just in constant reruns all the way up through then. I found out that the episodes we were watching in the 80s were the episodes kids were watching in the 90s, which just shows the strength of the original show. But then that's when they decided, hey, kids won't stop watching this thing. Let's make some toys. And those toys are worth a mint. I mean,
I believe it.
The Gadget Mobile does transform and the figures do go in them. And it's like, I would kill for that and I can't touch it. So
I know. I've seen those. That's the same thing with didn't they do the same thing with like Freakazoid merch? Like some of the really cool stuff is just so rare.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Michael, I have most of those Gadget figures because I was that kid in the 90s watching the cartoon. I didn't even realize. I thought Inspector Gadget was brand new.
You know what, Jeff? I've never wanted to be jealous of a man. But I've been jealous of you for your skyrocketing audience and your sage-like good looks. And now I find out you have Inspector Gadget toys too. Where does the suffering end for me here? I mean,
I can make you feel better. I don't have the Gadget Mobile.
Well, again, you're my friend. I don't want you to suffer. So I feel bad.
Well, I didn't even know it existed back then.
Yeah, I didn't know it existed until eBay. I was like, you know?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, like so, as a kid, the cartoon would come on Nickelodeon. So it's like, okay, and then it would come on. Then the video game came out, and then there was a toy line in the movie. So for years, I was like, oh, Inspector Gadget's fairly new. And then I got older, and I saw that there was the old. Who made it? Was it Playmates that did the doll, or
not Playmates. It was like Galoob or something like that. But it was or LJN. It was one. Who was it? Now I'm gonna have to go look it up. But yes, I can't remember who it was, but it was a big company that made the doll, and it was the only thing they made.
And I just remember going back and seeing all this old Gadget shit. And I'm thinking, oh man, Inspector Gadget's not new. And it kind of blew my mind, thinking like, how ignorant was I? Oh well, I was a kid.
It was Galoob. Galoob made it.
Galoob.
Yep.
I'm gonna track one of those down one day. I don't know when, but
just to have that icon on your thing on your desk or whatever.
He's my favorite cartoon character.
Galoob. Especially with Galoob, like I rebought because my original Mr. Game Show from Galoob was destroyed because I had little cousins or little second cousins who broke the crap out of it. So I rebought a Mr. Game Show, and I always laugh whenever I see the box because it says Galoob, and nobody even knows what that is anymore.
Oh yeah. I was going to do a documentary for a while, and I couldn't get Hasbro to even call me back. Wonder why? Maybe because I've been so critical of them. But I was going to do a documentary called "The Elephant in the Toy Room," and I had a trailer up for a while, and it tracked in the trailer. It showed how all those smaller companies got bought out over like a 15-year period, and all of them ended up under Hasbro, even if they didn't originally get bought out by Hasbro. Like maybe Tonka. I'm just doing this as an example. I don't think this is an actual thing, but say Tonka buys out Galoob, but then Hasbro buys out Tonka. And so eventually Hasbro and Mattel were the only two left standing. Playmates notwithstanding. It's really shocking to see how much variety we had then, and because the competition's been knocked out, now we have no variety. And every toy aisle looks like, a Soviet grocery store. Like it's just ugh. Well, look at that. I killed the live stream by saying that. I killed it.
Hey, you didn't make the toys.
I didn't. Neither did Hasbro, because nothing's getting to the store.
No. I will ask you this at greater length next time, but toys that made us, yay or nay?
I know two of the producers of Toys That Made Us, not as like I've met them in person and we chatted at Comic-Con. Really nice guys. I like the way that they're trying to get normies interested in toy history. As far as their access to toy designers and all that stuff, I think it's great. For me personally, when I watch it though, a lot of the stuff that they show on Toys That Made Us, I've already learned. And so it's just nice to kind of have that for people. It's like when I'm talking to people, out in the world, and they're like, oh yeah, I used to have He-Man figures or whatever. And I'm like, well, there's been all this controversy about whether or not they were Conan and all this kind of stuff. Oh, really? And then they get interested. And I'm like, yeah, you should go check out Toys That Made Us. They did a whole documentary about that on Netflix, because everybody has Netflix, so they can go quickly and go, oh, cool, it's free. And then they go over there and they watch it. So in that respect, yeah, I think it's been good. It's brought people. I'm rambling here, but I'm getting to my thought. So what I'm trying to say is that unlike Toy Hunter, which got people wrapped up in the value of toys, the speculative side of toys. It's like the American Pickers of toys. Toys That Made Us is for the love of toys and toy collecting, for people like ourselves who are fans. They don't want it to sell it. They don't want it to make profit. They want it for what it represents. And they are like that. That's the other thing I love about their show, is that it's not mercenary. It's there to educate and give us warm feelings. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. What do you think, Jeff? And what do you think, Mecca?
No, well, I like the toys that made us enough. But you're like you. I probably knew a lot of that stuff going into it.
Right.
But I mean, you're right. Like I'm one of those people. I don't collect something just to say, oh, I can sell this. No, I collect it because I want it on a shelf for a really long time. And then if I do have to part with something, or if I say, okay, well, I've had this for a long time, let somebody else have it because it's just collecting dust, or I don't have room for it. Then I don't mind selling it. But no, I'm not like out there just to flip a profit on my stuff. I want it. I want to have the stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
I like the show a lot. I mean, the Star Wars one was cool because I know exactly where they filmed it, because that's Cincinnati, so I know the locations. I don't know. This season I enjoyed the Power Ranger one and the wrestling one, because those are two toy lines I played with a lot as a kid. And what was the other one? Ninja Turtles was cool. I don't know. I mean, I'm not really learning much.
Right.
I mean, little smidges here and there, like with the Power Ranger stuff. I had never seen the lady that came up with the name Mighty Morphin. I didn't know Stan Lee was involved. But I do feel the newer season is more focused on the story and less the actual merchandise.
Right.
The Star Trek episode was actually the nice blend of story and merchandise. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was funny when I talked to the guys at Comic-Con. They were Richard and I'm going to apologize in advance. I can't remember the name of the other guy offhand. But they had told me it was a nice compliment. They had told me that when they were editing the Star Trek episode, that when they were comping in footage while they were getting their footage ready, they comped in footage from my Star Trek documentary as like stand-in while they were finishing that in post.
Ooh.
And I was like,
Cool.
oh wow, that's a high compliment. So that was pretty neat.
There you go, folks. Another reason to watch RetroBlasting. Influences the influencers.
Oh, I need that on a t-shirt. I need that on a t-shirt, and I need the one that I just learned today from Rick and Morty, where he says, your boos mean nothing to me because I know what you cheer for, or something like that, or because I've seen what you your boos mean nothing to me because I've seen what makes you cheer, which is exactly the message I want to send to every Disney Star Wars fan. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to shut up before I get torched.
Benito Martinez says two things. Iran launched missiles at a U.S. base in Iran. I meant U.S. base in Iraq. I heard that in passing, but I've been keeping my head down for the channel, so I haven't really heard too much of the news. So if we have something serious happen, I don't even know what to say about that. Logan Michael Anti-Funko Pops says, thoughts on the new Spin Master and McFarlane DC figures. The McFarlane figures are a mixed bag, and Spin Masters remind me of Hasbro DC figures. Logan Michael, to jump off what you said, I don't enjoy the the McFarlane DC stuff.
Yeah, I haven't seen the McFarlane stuff. I keep seeing the last vestiges of the Mattel stuff. So I need to have an encounter with the McFarlane stuff. I need to make that happen, but I don't know how to force that. So, oh wait, there's this thing called the internet. I can use that.
Google Foo is your friend.
Sorry about that. Acid Blade 21 says, Jeff, which Patreon tier do you need to be at to be able to appear on the podcast? Acid Blade 21, I believe that is $15 a month, and you can join us for commentaries or whatever you want. So I think Commander Cody was the last person to call on his Patreon card, and I don't know if we have any planned yet. So if you want to join us, and we'll make it happen. Okay. Chris Canmore says, What I turn on YouTube and I see Michael on, man, I'm so happy to see this. Jeff, you turned me on to Michael. Thanks. You guys rock.
Ah, that's so nice. Awesome.
Yeah, like I said, I've been talking about our video for going on 2 years now, so it was surreal. That was the first time I ever got to interact with a YouTuber that I watched regularly. So.
Yeah, and I constantly get messages from people who found me through that 3-hour discussion. So it's even to this day, people are like, I found you through the World Class Bullshitters interview or chat that you did with Jeff, the 3-hour and the 3-parter, and I'm like, oh yeah.
It's I should, if I can find the files will be on a different computer, but I should just put those on Podbean if people can't find the actual video anymore, because you know YouTube de-indexes stuff.
Yeah.
People, you got to find it, folks. Just look it up. We talk about everything, and this is right as Toys R Us is dying.
Yep.
So we're like, and it's post Last Jedi too. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's got everything that you guys are going to want to hear us talk about.
Yep.
But thank you, Chris, and thank you for checking them out. Make sure you're checking out Mecha Random too. Mecha, have you done any toy content?
A little here and there. I kind of got afraid with all the Copa stuff, so I did unlist like some of the really older stuff. But yeah, I've done a few here and there, like unboxings of things, but yeah, I've been trying to kind of keep it off just because I have no idea what I'm allowed to post anymore.
Yeah, the Copa thing has been really touch and go. I classified my whole channel as not for kids.
Me
Only
too.
but because so much of my stuff was toys and or cartoons, and I don't do like toy reviews in the traditional sense. Like Jeff will back me up on this. I do like retrospectives with snarky humor and all kinds of stuff. So it's not really for kids if someone bothers to watch. But I was worried that if the YouTube gods just looked at it and said, that's about Ninja Turtles, it says it in the title, that's got to be for kids, make it for kids. And then the next thing you know, the parents are mad because I'm not entertaining to their children. I'm talking about how April O'Neil, I don't know why they animated her that way or something. But I've decided to just I pull a Deadpool and just be like maximum effort, because if they're gonna get me, they're gonna get me. As far as like, I don't think I'm abusing the tool, and so far none of my stuff has been overruled by YouTube, even going all the way back to 2012. So I'm just kind of letting it ride for now.
Yeah, the problem I'm having is the bots. Is like, okay, so what can you say? What can't you say? I have videos where they're swearing and we're talking about Ricky Gervais and everything he said, et cetera, that's perfectly monetized. I have a video saying Batwoman's renewed and it's sitting there demonetized for no reason, because I don't know what their bots are going to detect, and are their bots going to say, oh, you have a little animated or you have a little cartoony logo in the corner, that's for kids. Therefore, some kid accidentally saw your thing and now you're fined because it collected data because some kid on an unsigned in cell phone that his parent neglectfully gave to him, handed over to watch this because it was the next thing that auto played because you used to be a gaming channel and you're in that category.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Okay, well, I'm not, but
Right. Yeah. Wow.
That's my issue here, is that like, you're supposed to trust the bots. Like, my channel's not marked for kids. And it's not really so much about the content. It's about who's collecting your data on the other side, or who's collecting people's data. So
sure.
Let's see. Chris CMA1 says, did anyone notice whether Luke had both hands? I think he had a glove on as a Force Ghost still.
Yeah, I think he did too.
Yeah.
Liquid Crystal says, rumor JJ will do a Superman reboot / semi-sequels to the new Matt Reeves Batmans to start a new DCCU. How do you picture his Superman movies? Pros and cons. I picture his Superman movies to be pulling on the heartstrings of like the Christopher Reeve crowd. So maybe he'll talk to Richard Donner and, we'll talk about verisimilitude or whatever it was. I can't even think of the word right now. Verisimilitude, that's the word. He'll pull up the whole. I think he'll pull a Richard Donner card and try to pull that shit. I think, but I don't think we'll fall into the what's his name, Bryan Singer. I'm in love with this movie so much that I'm basically making a sequel to it with Superman Returns. So we'll have a very non-Superman movie because we don't want to retread the Zack Snyder films.
I hope we don't retread the Zack Snyder films. I mean, I didn't have a problem with Henry Cavill as the Man of Steel. I didn't have a problem with that. I even liked Brandon Routh as the Man of Steel. The Superman actor has never been the issue for me. It's always been the screenplay. It always gets back to the screenplay. You know, I know there's been a lot of talk about, oh my God, I can't believe they cast Robert Pattinson as Batman. And I'm like, well, I would not exactly what you would call a Robert Pattinson groupie or anything like that. Like I don't follow his career.
Don't?
But I don't, man. I know it's shocking to think.
I know.
You know?
I thought I knew you.
I know, and I'm sorry that I betrayed you that way. You would think that a guy that was as big a Kylie Minogue fan as I am would love Robert Pattinson, but I don't. I don't hate him or anything. I'm just ambivalent. But when I heard the stink about it, you know, I was kind of like, well, actually, what you really need to be more worried about is find out who the writer and the director are. That'll tell you more about how this movie's going to end up than Robert Pattinson. I mean, yes, there might be a chance that, you know, there have been miscasts in history. I'm not saying there aren't, but more often than not, it's the screenplay and the director that are the death knell for a film these days.
Agreed. I always jump back when everybody makes the argument, oh, Michael Keaton was blah, 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 and all the writers, all the letters that were written in against him. I say, yes, that's true. That did work. Same with Heath Ledger. But we also have Jared Leto as the Joker. So, I mean, we do have those turnouts where it's like, that wasn't as, you know, controversial castings don't always turn out right for DC properties is what I want to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Mecca, do you have anything you want to add to the Superman?
No, not really. I'm not really into him. I'm not a big Superman person anyway, so.
Oh, do tell.
I just find him to be outdated.
Okay.
He's just kind of like the 1950s sort of superhero, and no matter what they do to him, he's gonna be kind of feel outdated to me.
Sure. Have you ever read his Golden Age stuff from '38?
No.
Oh, he was even different then. Like he wasn't the Silver Age Boy Scout guy. He was like this vigilante that the cops were trying to catch, except unlike Batman, he was like in a bright blue outfit, you know, instead of the dark blue outfit or dark gray. And he was like going after racketeers and literally like holding them over buildings and throwing them off the building unless they'd tell him what he wanted to know. And then he'd jump down and catch them and stuff. He was a real son of a bitch. I mean, and I loved it. I was like, when I would read the archive books, I was like, man, this Superman's great. He's awesome. But we don't have him anymore either. So.
If they're going to do a Superman movie, I want to see a live action version of the Superman Fleischer cartoons.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be cool.
And weird.
That is an interesting point because that's almost like a hybrid of like an in-between of the 50s Superman that, you know, we all know and are like, ugh, and the 1938 Superman of the original books. Like he's that perfect midpoint in the Fleischer cartoons.
I actually walked, since you brought up 50 Superman, I just walked past George Reeves' Hollywood Walk of Fame star the other day.
Nice.
Yeah. Man.
Yep.
Let's see. Timothy Norris says, fandom is a very dumb word to be associated with. Well, Timothy, the Fandom Menace is a very good group of people to be associated with. So I like the people that listen to our show and the people that make the content. So have what you will. DJM Voices says, I love how whenever the Last Jedi points out problems. Sorry, I love how whenever the Last Jedi point out problems with the OT, they think they're blowing our minds. We've watched the movies hundreds of times. We can rip them apart better than they can. Happy 2020, all. Yeah, like you were saying earlier, it's the cool thing to tear apart the original trilogy when it's we can make great points about how bad these movies are, but you guys can't make them about like how great the movies are. You have to tear down the old movies. So
yeah, that proves that they're on the back foot when it comes to this argument. They're on the back foot. It's like if you have to tell me, like, what's a good comparison? It would be like saying, well, I really like The Mummy 2. And you're like, no, The Mummy 2 is terrible and it's not a good, you know, desert adventure or whatever. And they're like, well, Lawrence of Arabia sucks. Let me tell you why. And it's like, what? No, don't know that. No. So yeah, the whole idea of them having to prove the other films sucked in order to justify why their movie sucks means they've already lost the argument.
Yeah, definitely. I don't have to. By the way, when you bring up the Mummy 2, I instantly think of The Rock, and I don't think the Mummy 2 is a great film, but I just want to say that The Rock's awesome. Anyway,
I wanted The Rock to be Superman. By the way,
see, as much as I love The Rock, I'm one of those people. I want my comic book characters to look like they look in the books on film. So,
I actually think with the glasses and his hair being longer when he was younger, I think he would have looked like the comic book character.
Have you ever seen the SNL skit?
No.
Oh, he plays Superman on SNL.
What?
You know, yeah, 20 years ago.
Are you serious?
I'm going to pull up the not the clip. I'm going to show you an image right now. I swear to God.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Dude, I have been saying for years that I wish that they had greenlit a Superman movie, you know, when The Rock had just gotten out of wrestling and was just starting out in the movie business. I'm like, you know, when he had, you know, hair and everything. And man, I would have loved to have seen him because I think he would have actually looked like the character. Like, really, like without compromise. I really think he would have been great. He's so charismatic. He can pull off cheesy lines while still being charming. Oh my God, dude.
Why not?
Oh my God. Yes. I'm sorry, man. I think that's perfect. Holy crap. I never knew this existed. This is awesome.
The whole skit is that he's Superman at the Daily Planet, and everyone knows he's Superman, and he's playing it off like he's not Superman. So like, so Superman was at this fire, and he's like, yeah, I was there too. I got there just as Superman was leaving. They're like, yeah, sure, Clark. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And like his costume showing the whole time. It's a really good skit.
I am telling you, dude, he is with the glasses and the hair that way, he's on the mark as far as I'm concerned. And he's got that charisma. He's like, he can pull off cheesy lines and you don't think they're cheesy because he's the one saying them. He's got that great smile. I just thought he would have been a perfect Superman when he was younger. I thought he would have been awesome. But that's, you know, that's my fan casting right there. I love Christopher Reeve. I will always love Christopher Reeve. There's no but to it. But there were two people that I would have killed to play Superman in their younger years after Christopher Reeve. One would have been Bruce Campbell and one would have been The Rock. Those two guys.
I like Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
But Bruce Campbell's good in anything.
That's true. I had an opportunity to meet him once and I didn't take it, and I still kick myself to this day.
Oh, man.
Grant has a question. He says, what franchise dies next, James Bond or Marvel? I go
Bond.
Yeah, Bond.
Yeah, I would say the better chance is on Bond because they were predicting Bond being a dead franchise back in the 70s. And it somehow managed, thankfully, to reinvent itself a little bit. But I would say now, in this day and age, Bond is probably closer to the chopping block than Marvel.
Yeah, and Darian217 agrees that the next franchise to die is James Bond. They claim the next film was the highest budget ever, meaning the biggest risk plus marketing before it can get over the profit margin.
Wow.
Darian, I have not heard about that. I'll take your word for it. For me, I just want to see Bond. I think the way you can save James Bond is if you just make it a period piece and you just do like Man from Uncle style shit and just stop trying to make it modern and then play into modern sensibilities. Just let it be big, over the top, fun spy. Plus, you can write out the magical thing called the cell phone that basically takes care of James Bond's problems nowadays. You know, he doesn't need to do stuff with computers or anything. Oh, just do it on your phone, you know, encrypted this, send the text. It takes, like, why would James Bond go meet a contact when he can, you know, get an email or something? It was saying, like, the way the spy stories are written with all the modern technology, it just takes away the novel nature of the shit James Bond interacted with.
Absolutely. That's one of the problems with a lot of these kind of modern franchises, that they keep trying to change them into something that they're not, to appeal to the modern day audiences with modern day sensibilities and modern day attention spans. Like, I'm sorry, we don't need a James Bond movie for a bunch of people sitting in the theater on their cell phones.
Our friend Robbie Max says, demographics on your viewers, male versus female. I'm 96% male viewers.
Yeah, about the same here.
Yeah, I think I'm in that range too. It's like 93 or something like that. we do have women on our audience that are into, nostalgia, cartoons, toys, stuff like that. But it's a smaller group.
Oh yeah, we like here on my channel, is everyone's obviously welcome, but I do have numbers, and yeah, it's mostly dudes. So like I said, women want to come watch the show, we'd love to have you. Guys want to come watch the show, we love having you. So just it's just whoever we have, we're thankful for.
Well, that's the thing. It is, people will like a certain thing differently depending on, their age group, their gender, et cetera, et cetera. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're not out there. I'm not out there trying. I'm never thinking, how can I get more female viewers? It's like, no, how do I, kind of cater to the viewers that show up? Because the viewers that show up are, pretty much 80 to 90% male. They're of the, 35 to 60-ish demographic. And, so I try and generalize, when I'm talking, I try and use more terminology that I think people my age group are going to get, and I talk about things that people in that demographic are going to want to watch more than like pulling in something like, okay, and now we're going to talk about Dancing with the Stars or something, because well, A, I wouldn't watch it, and B, that would really be off-putting to the audience.
It's funny you brought that up, Mecca, because I had a similar thing happen for the last few years where people, friends and family that I knew, would keep pressuring me to try and make my content more appealing to children because I did toys and cartoons, even though they were retro, but they didn't get it. And it's funny because I resisted the whole time, kind of like you were saying, no, I know who my core audience is and I cater to them. I said the same thing. I was like, no, my core audience is, adult Gen Xers of a certain age and, whatever. And thank God that I didn't pander to the children thing, because I'd be in a mess right now.
Oh yeah,
so, yeah. Your instincts are right on the money. Not that my opinion matters, nor did you ask for it. Just saying.
Well, no, but that's the thing, though. They like start with Star Wars. They're so focused on how do we get more women? How do we get more women? Well, you don't need them. They'll come if you have good enough content. They will watch this. You cater to your 98% male audience, and the women will show up too if it's good enough. Just focus on making it good for the people you have instead of trying this. Oh, we'll try Disney princess stuff. We'll try and make it Twilight. We'll try and make it YA. That's all well and good, but you're going to lose your core audience, and these new people aren't really satisfied because they're only here for this small amount of time. They're not putting the years, for 4 years we've been waiting for the Raylo kiss and we won, as some of them say on that one audio clip I always use. But they're going to go off to the next thing because at the end of that audio clip they're like, I effing hate Star Wars, throwing a big temper tantrum. And where are they? Well, we're still here watching The Mandalorian. They're off to what's the next YA thing that they're going to go and destroy. They'll be off back to Marvel, or they'll be off to, CW or whatever they're into.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Our friend Moto. Agreed. Logan Michael Funko Pops says pop gay. I wonder if you really feel that way. No, I know you hate him. Sheev Burger says tweeted you a pic of the epic Luke figure. I will have to check that out, Sheev Burger. I'll look that up in a minute. Robert McRae says got Stealing Solo today. Very nice surprise with the 3 stories at the end. That's a genre there that is not enough of anymore. Robert, it was funny how everyone during the whole little blow up of that damn comic, the people that were very opposed to it, all they wanted to do is pick out how an extra bonus story had one line of a panel cover a word balloon, and that was it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to deal with the anthology anymore. Everyone just keeps bitching about it, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, probably your one message right there is going to make sure that when I do the reprint, I keep the anthology story, and I might even do more because it's inspired by the Twilight Zone. I love that type of story. EC comics are my favorite of any kind of comic book. So yeah, screw it. I'm just going to keep doing that shit. I'm glad you got your book. I obviously didn't know it would take this long for some people to get, but folks be on the lookout. We'll be doing the reprint program or whatever the hell I'm going to call it, and take care of that. And then people can get their second print copy too. So Robert, thank you very much for the kind words. And I'm glad you enjoyed the stories. Those are older stories that I made in 2014, but nonetheless, I'm very proud of them. So thank you. Deus Pigeon says Paige Tico is a hot supermodel from hot Vietnamese supermodel, Vietnamese. I'll have to look her up. I don't know who she is. Do you guys know off the top of your head?
The actress who played Paige Tico.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't name her. No.
Okay, she is played by. I'm not going to try to butcher her name, but yes, she is a actress and model. And yeah, wow, cool.
Yeah, she's very attractive. So is Kelly Marie Tran. I mean, they hire gorgeous women and then they make them ugly for some reason.
Yeah, it is strange. It really is, especially given that Marvel doesn't do that.
No.
You know, Marvel makes sure that everybody, male and female, in that cast looks their best.
Except Captain Marvel.
Except right. That's an outlier. but yeah, it's weird that the Star Wars thing, they've just really skipped over a lot of those Hollywood's standard practices. And again, I understand that there's some merit to, you know, bucking establishment trends on occasion, but there are certain things in presentation, aesthetic, all that kind of stuff that guarantee butts in the seats, and they're not doing that, and it's so weird.
Our friend 13 Roger says, thoughts on Disney deciding to plunder and ruin the Knights of the Old Republic mythos. I hate what Disney did, what they've done / will do, so don't pay royalties to Lucas. Personally, I'm not up on Knights of the Old Republic. I respect what it is. People love it. So I don't have the same love, but I don't want Disney to ruin it. So that's all I can say.
Yeah, I hope they just don't ruin anything.
Just stop with Star Wars. That's all I can say.
No.
They're not gonna. They're gonna keep going.
I know. Let's see. Our next chat's from our friend. Oh, Mark C, what's up? He says, any idea when the new Masters of the Universe origin figures hit the pegs and are getting a new Castle Grayskull?
I know that they were. Are the Masters of the Universe Origins figures? Are those the ones where they're like the vintage figures but with elbow and knee joints? I can't ever keep their nomenclature straight. My understanding is they are coming out with a series of figures that are the vintage molds but with extra articulation to make them more playable than they were when we were kids. I don't know if there are vehicles and play sets to go with it, though.
I really want to get the Super 7 Masters of the Universe figures.
Uh-huh.
I didn't grow up with He-Man. I don't have the affinity that other people do.
Right.
But from a basic, I like to collect pop culture stuff. I would like to have He-Man and Skeletor, but $100 for just 2 6-inch figures, even for me, I'm just like, I don't have any connection to this, so I won't allow myself. But if I ever caught one of these out in the wild for $20, maybe,
yeah, I
could be convinced.
That's the problem, though, is that they're all so valuable now. The classics and Super 7s, they're all so expensive. And as part of He-Man's nostalgia and charm comes from the fact that the figures were all so they had so much character that doesn't age very well, like in the sense that they're all in that same constipated crouch where they all look like they're just not having a good bowel movement that day. and they've all got those solid, kind of like grippy hands. They look like they're about to wrestle. They all look like they're about to wrestle, and they're all brightly colored, and they've got cheesy gimmicks like, I'm Mechaneck, my neck gets real long, and oh, I'm the dude with 3 faces. Hey. And it's like, yeah, this is what makes this line so funny and charming. When you see them as classics figures like that, they're just kind of like statues with ankle joints, and you're like, oh. So I guess what I'm saying is, don't feel too bad that you're not collecting the classics. The charm of He-Man comes from its sort of lovable hokiness.
Our friend Andrew Clark says, hello, my Ewoks, and may the Jeb be with you. Well, may the Jeb be with you too, my friend. Now, I gotta talk to Mauler. By the way, folks, I am going to do a Mauler style, meaning I'm not ripping off any of his points he's ever made, but I'm going to do a long form Rise of Skywalker review. And if that's well received, I may go back and do long form Force Awakens, Last Jedi reviews. if you guys want them. If you guys watch the shit, I'll make whatever. So if all the audience watched a video of me throwing a Captain America shield against a wall, I'd just buy Captain America shields and break them. But but I got that. I'm gonna do Mandalorian because I couldn't accurately review. I know it's cool to like do a weekly update on the Mandalorian, but I couldn't find the time / couldn't find a voice or a take on it yet. Now that I've seen it, I can accurately review it. So be on the lookout for that too.
That's why I like what the Critical Drinker did with the Mandalorian. He waited until the whole thing was done, and then he kind of did a summation of it that he posted, I think, either last night or the night before. And I liked that because I it's like, oh, you're telling me about all 8 or 9 or whatever it is at once. So,
well, people really want him on the High Council, and I'd love to get him on if I can find a way to contact him. So maybe I'll start to try to get the process. Folks, there's 1,300 people watching. If he gets 1,300 messages that says we'd love to have him on the High Council, I'm pretty sure we can make it happen. So let's see. I can't even speak right now. Foda says, RetroBlasting. I still have all my classic Star Wars figures from the 70s and 80s. Just wish I had the plastic cape Jawa. Pricey.
I do too. He's the only major variation I don't own.
Oh, you only have the cloth?
I only have the cloth one. I have a few of those, but like I've got blue Snaggletooth and red Snaggletooth. I've got yellow hair Luke and brown hair Luke. I've got blue saber Jedi Luke and green saber Jedi Luke, small head Han, large head Han. I've got all the variations except plastic cape Jawa or vinyl cape Jawa because he's so valuable. He is so expensive. And I collect loose. I don't even collect mint on card. So even that, the prices are still outrageous.
One of Jesse's listeners sends her like a lot of vintage Star Wars stuff, and whoever it is sent like, I've never seen a mint Star Wars figure or a blue Star Wars figure look so good. It's Han Solo in his Endor gear. And like I've been to 1,000,001 toy shows where you see how the capes have been played with. They have a little dirt. This thing looks perfect. The joints are super tight. Paint. I'm like, Jesus, this is like pulling it out of the box right now.
Yeah.
If I didn't live there, I'd be a little jealous that it wasn't mine.
Yeah. Does he have camo on the collar as well, or is the collar like a plain gray compared to the rest of the coat?
I'll have to tell you another time because I don't remember. I just remember playing with the figure for a minute. I was like, wow, this is really like new. So
yeah, there's 2 variations of that figure. I don't think one's more valuable than the other, but I have them both. The one coat version has the camo also on the top layer of the lapels, and the other coat, the lapels are just the light gray color with no camo.
Oh, okay. I used to go to Rebel Scum when it was like, I don't know, back in the early 2000s, and I'd read everything. Or like, I think the guy's name was like Gus Lopez. He was like a Star Wars collector or something. He had a website. I used to go and just read everything I could find.
Yeah, I've actually met Gus Lopez. This is not a name drop nor a humble brag, but you brought him up. I met Gus Lopez, and I've been to his home.
Oh,
and,
nice.
I've seen the actual Death Star in his foyer. He has the actual Death Star.
Wow.
I was just about to ask you if he showed you his Death Star.
Yeah, it's right there in the foyer in a big acrylic case. And then, do you remember a few years ago when they put that Slave Leia costume up for auction?
Yeah.
He was the buyer.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not claiming that he's my friend. I do not trade messages with him or anything like that. So, but I have had the privilege of being in his house and seeing all of his crazy stuff and props, costumes, all the trilogies. All of the Kenner artwork, all the unproduced Kenner toy prototypes. He has one room that's just devoted to vintage cereal boxes that have Star Wars prize offers on the front. It's unreal. It's really unreal, the level of depth. He's got original film stuff. Like he's got one of the, do you remember last winter when Columbia did the Empire Strikes Back crew winter coat replicas?
Yes.
He was the guy that sent them a coat to model theirs off of.
Oh,
his coat. Yeah. He's a Star Wars collecting legend. Yeah.
I just remember his site was so cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Our friend, the Fixer, says, it's a story for another time, Jeff. That's the waterboarding. In all seriousness, it was half morbid curiosity and half training. It was not pleasant, to say the least. So we don't have to worry about kink shaming him, Michael.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Echo Base Network says, Jeff, did you get my Facebook DM with our sequel trilogy teaser trailer? Hail RetroBlasting. If anyone has not subbed to his channel, I highly recommend it. Echo Base Network, I did get your message. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet because I moved 2 days ago. So I had to go back to the airport last night and pick up my bags because we didn't fly on the same flight. So I'll talk about that on the podcast if anybody cares. This is the High Council. Personal drama be damned. But no, I didn't check it out, but I will. And yes, subscribe to RetroBlasting. I do. I watch the videos. I've watched tons of them. Michael, I told you this before. I watch videos of yours that have no bearing on anything in my own personal life. Like I watched you restore a Millennium Falcon or, just stuff like that. Cause it's like, I really like this channel and I'm going to watch this guy use, the sun or whatever you use to clean the Millennium Falcon toy. I enjoy it. I don't know.
That's the biggest compliment that I've gotten from a few people. And I appreciate that is people will tell me, they'll come up to me and like I was at Retro Toy Con in South Carolina as a guest a few months ago, and people would come up to the table and one guy said he was like, I watch everything that you do. He goes, even stuff that I don't have any interest in. He's like, and he said Filmation Ghostbusters. He's like, I don't care. He's like, but because you were talking about it, I watched it, and you know what? That was really great video. And I'm like, thanks. I appreciate that, that I can get people to watch something that they otherwise wouldn't care about. I think that's cool.
Yeah, dude. The restoration stuff of toys I've never owned and probably never will. I'm just sitting there like, wow, I'm just going to watch literally everything this channel has.
Yeah. Well, one day I would have thought, well, you're a Han Solo fan. I'd think you'd have a Falcon somewhere.
Well, I remember I'm 31, so I grew up with the 95 Falcon.
Right.
So mine is still, my original one broke. It's only one of the few Star Wars toys I ever had that broke. But Salvador sent me a brand new one.
Nice.
So that's back home. And I also have the 2008 Legacy Edition, the big one.
Yep.
That's my friend Dustin bought me that. But
that's a nice friend.
It was a weird story. He was getting ready to drop out of school because he had got his girlfriend pregnant. He was going to go home and be responsible and do that shit. But he was part of a church that gave him a ton of money, and he's like, "I'm never going to see you, so I want to give you a gift." And so he bought me this Millennium Falcon. And
wow,
for a few more months, and then I haven't seen him in years. So,
well, hey, he left you something to remember him by. I tell you that much,
dude. That is the best Star Wars toy ever made.
Yeah. I have it on display on a clear glass end table on the left side of my television down in the screening room here in the studio, and the Super Walker, the big AT-AT is on the other end table on the right.
I kick myself for not buying that. I had a chance to get one for $50.
Oh
man,
that's rough.
I know.
Hey, don't feel bad though. I had to spend, because I wasn't buying those at the time. You getting it for $50 would have been great. I had to pay third-party prices, mint and box, just a few years ago to get them, and I paid through the roof for them.
I know what you paid. Yeah. I've gone back because I'm one of those people. I don't ever resell my shit.
Yeah.
But I look and say, I wonder how much this is worth, just out of curiosity. I go, wow, $500 for this Millennium Falcon.
Yeah. But I don't feel bad because it's such a quality product. Like I don't feel like I paid a lot simply because it's not in production anymore, but it sucked. Like I'm like, oh wow, this is, even though I paid, like at the time it was $400 or whatever, even though I paid $400 for it, mint in the box, that was worth it because this is quality. This is really choice. So,
folks, by the way, after this, we're finishing up the super chats. I have I'm going to eat dinner, but apparently I'm going to be on a dinner stream on Mindless Entertainment. So I've been dropping the link. If you want to see me in my blue t-shirt, eat brisket, there you go. I'm going to be, I guess, live streaming now because I'm in a new time zone, but it's getting dinner time, and it is late because Michael's back on the Eastern Standard Time. Mecca, you're only an hour behind me, right?
Yeah, I'm Western. I'm Mountain Time, so I'm an hour ahead of you. So it's 10 right now for me.
Okay. Yeah, duh, that's how it works. I'm so used to being in Ohio, so I'm trying to get the own thing. So Dr. Coffinail says, at Mecca, are you going to dress as Slave Leia at Star Wars Celebration this year? And if so, I might actually come to Celebration. That is
not likely. I don't think I would be able to squeeze. I mean, maybe I could squeeze like an arm into the costume, but no, not likely. I don't know. I don't think I would probably even be out there this year.
which is sad because I think a lot of us are.
Yeah, I mean, I'll see, but I know that's when like my roommate's gonna be moving out, and plus I've got a trip next week, so I don't know if I can justify another trip in 2 months. So I don't know. We'll
The
see.
celebration is not until August.
Star Wars Celebration? I thought it was April.
No, it's in August this year.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe. I don't know.
Michael, I'm going to try to head down to Dragon Con so we can have a meetup.
Yeah, that'd be fun, man. That'd be fun.
Because I got some listener wants us to go meet him after that for Oktoberfest, so that might be a thing that's going on. I don't know yet, but I always wanted to go to Dragon Con, and you and I would probably talk for like 20 hours straight.
Oh yeah, and it's a 4-day party, 24/7. So, you know, just get a lot of sleep before you go because you're never gonna sleep. So
my friend lives down there. I'll go stay with my buddy, and we'll hang out.
Nice.
Bronze Division, thank you very much for your super chat. He says, so the only way to improve the ending shot of Rogue One is to delete it. Hard cut of Darth Vader staring down the vacuum of space is the correct end for that movie. It's a very good ending. I agree with that. What do you guys think?
For which one?
For Rogue One, instead of showing Vader or Leia, you just end with Vader.
Yeah, because the Leia thing is so cringe. Definitely, because Vader was the highlight. I always forget that Leia was at the very tail end.
And I just recently learned that the Vader sequence at the end was the last thing shot for the movie during the reshoots, and it was Gareth Edwards' idea. He requested to Kathleen Kennedy that scene be added. It was not a Tony Gilroy reshoot. It was a Gareth Edwards request. So that gives me even more love for that scene, that it was conceived for and produced by the original director. So he clearly knew. Gareth Edwards had his finger on the pulse of what Star Wars is. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Ooga Booga sent in 2 super chats. Thank you very much. He says, thank you for blessing us with the truth of Star Wars. Here's some of my money. Thank you, Ooga Booga. He also says, by the way, like the video up, guys. Over 1,000 people watching, over 700 likes. Let's get it. Yeah, folks, let's. Because of my time zone change, Good Morning Pop Culture isn't feasible right now, but not this weekend, but next weekend, we could do a Good Morning Pop Culture on probably a Saturday. So always give the thumbs up to the High Council. I will find a way to do a Good Morning Pop Culture some way or the other. And when I'm back in Eastern Time Zone, we'll do more Good Morning Pop Culture. So don't worry, I love that show. And if you're a longtime listener, we'll have mugs real soon. So just keep watching. This is our big year. Nathan Brake says, this is why I use the RPG to tell good Star Wars stories. Yeah, Nathan, you're the guy that told us about your campaign that you had created. So if you're on Facebook, join our Facebook page and share it over there. That'll be a fun chat for the community. If not, I mean, Twitter, we're on all the social media platforms. So short of us having like a website with a forum, I mean, I think that's the best way to communicate with the fans, but I think people would love it. Matt G, thank you very much. He says, I still wish I had the OT on VHS. It's how I watched them growing up. Regardless of my opinion on episodes 1 through 3, 7 through 9, watching this stuff circa 1987 was magical. I mean, I grew up with Star Wars on videotape circa 1997, so it's a different experience. But I am one of those people, I want the best picture quality possible, so I don't know.
Yeah, the VHS tapes, like, the only thing fun about those at this point is the CBS Fox logo at the beginning and the cover art. I mean, they're curios to me at this point. I just did a video a few months back about the 4K 77 thing from Team -1 that I told you about a little while ago. And I had all these old editions of the Star Wars films on different formats, Laserdisc and stuff on the table next to me. And I pointed out, I said, I didn't collect these after the fact. These are just the ones I bought as the formats changed. Like I bought them at the time. But I don't go backwards with home video technology. I always go forwards. I know there are people out there. I got friends on my Facebook feed that I've known for years that are like VHS collectors. They love just watching VHS versions and collecting VHS versions of movies. And I'm like, more power to you, man. I mean, it's a harmless hobby and everything, but I just don't get the thrill. I mean, unless it's watching the Batman themed Diet Coke commercial at the beginning of the videotape, I'm not sure what you're watching that for. You know?
Yeah.
5 more. 5, 10 cents in. Yeah, the Batman Diet Coke commercial and the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade ones are amazing.
They are.
Watch.
They are. Yep. But
You
that's
can pull out stuff on YouTube though.
exactly. Thank you, Mecca. You read my mind. I was about to say that. Yes. See? Exactly.
Let's see. Our friend Matt G, we read his. Thank you very much. Modalicious says, "Son of a bitchin', the TTMU never referenced Sergeant Slaughter. All the toys that made us." I did notice that. The wrestling one was good for the Michael. You know how they upsize figures.
Yep.
Or downsize from the scale or the sculpting. It was cool that the wrestling ones, they forgot to do that part. That's the only thing I really learned. But they did forget to mention Sergeant Slaughter. But I guess to that community, Sergeant Slaughter would be more of a G.I. Joe character than a wrestling character for like a certain part of the generation. So
yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Let's see. Adam Wofford, thank you very much. He says, Michael, when is the next Macross documentary?
Oh, Robotech Part 3 is coming soon. I've actually watched both series in Japanese and in English, Moss Beta and Robotech, New Generation, and I'm scripting it right now. So I'm hoping that I'm aiming for it to be done this month.
Well, there you go. Stone Cold Jeremy says, I got my copy of Stealing Solo last week. Awesome comic. Hopefully you make more content. Great stuff with 5 flex emojis. Stone Cold Jeremy, I am. I'm going to do a relaunch of the campaign with a different second printing cover. If it does a certain number, there's a sequel to Stealing Solo that I can make right away because I wrote the thing. And there's even a third sequel to that. And I got a ton of ideas. I like doing comics. Love doing comics. I'm not going to let the craziness detract from that. It was a little overwhelming at first, but I got stuff under wraps, under control, and I got all my art supplies out here. So thank you for checking it out. I'm glad you liked it. And folks, if you're one of the people that goes, I didn't even know you had a comic. We did it last August. It was successful. We'll do it again, and we'll keep doing it as long as you guys keep reading them. So thank you very much, Stone Cold Jeremy. Midnight's Edge After Dark says, love you guys. I'm so pissed I missed out on this. Well, Midnight's Edge After Dark, Michael and I are buddies, so we're going to do more of this stuff. And we'll get you on.
That's not true. We're kicking Tom out of the Fandom Menace.
Sorry. I won't tell him a word. Sorry. Tim Riggs has a question. Cincinnati Horror Hound this year. Yes, Tim, I'm going to buy a table for Horror Hound and have merchandise this year for the channel. Finally. Also, we're going to go because Dante and Randall from Clerks are going to be there, and I have to meet them. So
ooh, that's cool.
And finally, our friend James Russo, thank you very much, James, says, finally watched Rise of Skywalker yesterday. Haven't laughed at a movie like that in a long time. What a waste of money. It's dumb. But now you can accurately critique it, and no one can say you're just a hater because you're now a dissatisfied consumer.
Mm-hmm.
So, folks, we have reached the end of the High Council, the first High Council of 2020. So I'd like to thank everyone who joined us. We had I think almost 1,800, almost 1,900 people at peak. So this was a very good High Council stream. For all those out there that say, oh, the High Council's dead. No, it's just getting better. We had a fantastic guest tonight with Michael from RetroBlasting. Mecca, as always, I'm happy to get to work with you and do stuff, streams. So Michael, before we get going, please tell everyone about you.
My name is Michael French. I run the RetroBlasting YouTube channel, which is also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We have a .com, and we are dedicated to the nostalgia of Gen X. We do objective, honest, pull no punches, snarky retrospectives on the toys and cartoons and TV shows of our youth. So that is what we do, and you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/retroblasting.
And folks, I say this, I do, recommend that you check out stuff on YouTube, but this is my favorite of my favorite of my favorite. I told you guys, I watched him restore a Millennium Falcon toy and stuff like that. So, really, I can't promote the channel enough. Michael's a great dude. He's a lot of fun, and we're definitely going to have him back on. So thank you, Michael. Now, Mecca, tell everyone where they can find you.
I am Mecha Random 42. You can just click me in the chat there, or find me anywhere. I don't know what's up if they're hiding the stuff. Some people have said that they can't find the channel, so don't know what's going on with that right now. But you should be able to just click me And yeah, so and thank you, of course. Wonderful to meet you, Michael, and thank you so much, as always, Jeff, for having me back. And I really appreciate it. It's been fun. And I yell about stuff, pop culture, fandom menacy things, and I'm kind of a hothead. And I have a writing crop, so.
Well, it's just been a thrill in two ways. One, to finally be able to sit down and have a live chat with Jeff again, because it was always on the books. It just our schedules didn't line up. But also, as part of that, to finally get to meet you, Mecca, as well, because I've followed your work for quite a while as well. And so just having you here at the same time, it's like, oh my gosh, so this has been neat. Thank you.
We had one more super chat roll in from our friend Darian217. He says, where can I get a copy during the reprint if we missed out on the first wave like me? Well, Darian, first off, thank you for showing interest. Secondly, I will make the announcement. The reprint is like so cool that everyone's going to know about it. A few people know, select few people. But it's not just a reprint of the comic. It's something even bigger. So I will be making that announcement here on the channel. I'll be going on to other streams. I'll be doing the whole spiel when it comes time. So I got to take care of the problems from the first printing that the printer made. I'll take care of that, square that up with everybody else, and then we will be off to the races with more comics. Hell, I may even come up with my own imprint or something. So there we go. So from all of us here on the High Council, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I'll be back on Thursday night with World Class Bullshitters, episode 201. We're going to talk about Ricky Gervais. We're going to talk about all the craziness of the pop culture landscape. Over on Patreon this week, we're going to do a retrospective of 2019. Well, it's not really a retrospective. We'll talk about the best and the worst films and all that fun stuff. So to everyone out there, thank you for watching. Party Boob, hail the fandom menace. And as always, folks, be excellent to each other.